Clips.
And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Fuck, I'll need to stop using Alex Jones references, man, now that he's out the window. Anyway, welcome to today's Daily PoliTITS show. It's a political satire entertainment show for Neds and Chavs. So, if you like politics but are sick of all the tits, then tune in for your daily PoliTITS fix. Get me? Format simple. Bounce around as many English-speaking talking whole news outlets as I can. Cross-reference what they're all saying. And compare notes. So it's less conspiracy theory, more news analysis. And of course, all the alternative media sources will be talking about the exact same stuff. Because all the information comes from very few sources, but then can get spun into like, oh, everybody's talking about it. So anyway, we'll touch on Reuters, TASS. No, you know what? I'm going to figure out who the fuck Reuters are again later on. TASS, BBC's, the Sky News's, Al Jazeera's, RTE, Press TV, managed to crack the code and get it working. The German Wave, the Krauts, the French. I'm going to go to that as well. The Fox News Live, that was good yesterday with the Fauci stuff. Go to that straight off. ABC News America, the ABC News Australia, different outlets. Every day's a school day. Singapore outlet. And then look at a couple of the shithole pretend media. Right-wing asshole, Nigel Farage's dangleberries, and look, wouldn't you take health advice from Mike Graham? The Chiners, if I can ever be asked reading their boring ass shit, and then a few news outlets, CNN, yada yada yada, as well as shit bombs away. So what I wanted to start with today, what was Al Jazeera, because they have removed their DVR ability. Either it's filled up or something like that. Boom, right on time. I'm going to get my tea.
At least 66 people killed in Israeli airstrikes on Gaza in the last 24 hours, while Israel announced the launch of its latest ground assault in the Central Strip. I'm Nick Barker, this is Al Jazeera Live from Doha. Also coming up, US President Joe Biden tightens restrictions on the southern border, looking to limit the number of asylum seekers crossing in from Mexico. India's Prime Minister is due to meet alliance partners after Narendra Modi's BJP failed to win a clear majority in the general election. And we report from the Indonesian island of North Maluku, where Mount Ibu has erupted, spewing ash 7 kilometers into the sky.
I walked into a burning ring of fire. Tell me you can't eat the burning ring of fire. Doesn't it pop into you? Let me make sure the audios are okay.
Thanks for joining us. This 08 GMT.
You're welcome, mate.
You're Central
all
Gaza,
good,
where the Israeli military is carrying out airstrikes targeting heavily populated areas. At least 75 Palestinians have been killed across the area.
Can you report on this without telling us their names and inside leg measurement?
Al-Maghazi and Al-Nusrat refugee camps. Israel says its ground forces have moved into Al-Barej.
Right, that's news.
Body bags are piling
up
right, nearby overwhelmed Al-Aqsa Hospital. That's in Deir al-Balah. Israeli jets and artillery have been targeting the area where tens of thousands of forcibly displaced Palestinians have been seeking shelter. Al Jazeera's Hani Mahmoud has the latest.
And that's how I sense.
For the past 30 minutes, we've seen non-stop ambulance.
Yep, that's right, folks. I am censoring Al Jazeera.
Targeted residential homes, and as you can see, this is probably, if I'm not mistaken, this is the and as you can see, the These are the casualties.
I can hear fucking Allah Akbar, not bars in the background, more easier, huh?
And Al-Maghazi refugee camp. Another ambulance just made its way all the way to the morgue because it's carrying what looks like a body from the
he's getting hacked by the Illuminati. He's Mike.
And the body was carried all the way to the morgue.
Right, come on, mate. Right, we get it. Oh fuck! I can't even fast forward or fuck all. Right, that's it. I think he's getting his inside leg measurements now. Here's little Muhammad there, a glass eye wooden leg. Well, who would bomb him? Right, Israel's still bombing Gaza. Get it? I don't need the morbid details. Pretty sure, well, they are out there if you want to go and find them. June the 16th? What's happening in June the 16th? Oh, there's a wee pile of blood. I just clocked that there. I'm trying to read comments. Oh, right, you must be meaning Jones, GG. Yeah, I would imagine so, man.
Bodies to the hospital.
Right, hold on. I'm censoring these fucking tramps. I can't fast forward or anything, right?
Of a child.
Yeah, that's the body of a fucking child, lovely. Yeah, there's other ones as well, man. Woo! Thank you, Al Jazeera. You're going to win all sorts of reports. Do you think when they're giving out those reports for journalists and all that, you get more, the more dead bodies you get in a war zone, the bigger, more prizes you get? Wow, you documented that so well. But there's documenting it and then there's flashing it all over to the public to put them into a fucking post-traumatic stress. You know, no wonder everybody's bouncing about, kicking off like, no wonder all the kids are bouncing about like zombie rice, chopping each other up. If they're not watching it on the fucking news, they're watching it on Netflix. Bodies getting ripped to shreds and all that. I swear to God, I've went completely the other way, man. I used to love all that as a young guy and all that. I used to love all the gore and the violence and all that. See, now I'm like, there was no need to show me that. There is no need for me to see that guy's head pop. You know, that's the state it's got to now on Netflix. Maybe that's just the grey hair and my age kicking in, but I've just had my fill. Had enough.
With 3 times the number of patients it's built for.
And Kerem Abu Salim crossings.
Right. Let me summarise for the cunts who do not want to have dead babies with their breakfast. Israel are still pounding the fuck out of Gaza. Full fucking stop. That's all you need to know, man, if you're interested in what's going on. You know, like, funnily enough, I wasn't thinking I was going to switch on fucking Al Jazeera this morning and like, hey man, great news. There's unicorns and rainbows all over the fucking Gaza Strip. Something's miracles happened. The baby Jesus came back to Bethlehem. There was another fucking virgin birth. Fucking donkey was fucking won the Grand National. I don't know. But this doesn't surprise me, and it's relentless in it. Like, it's good to be informed, I think. But it's not good to subject yourself to endless, like, genocide. Oh, hold on, here, make me something off.
Have clarity about how aid workers who are needed to help
news. Oh fuck! Hold on.
Drop the aid.
Oh, there's a coffin.
It needs to be distributed so
was that coffins at aid?
Get the priority that they should be enabled to go back to their work safely. So it's not rocket science. This is something we need everywhere.
Is this guy a hamster?
Hamas spokesman Osama Hamdan says Israel's response to the latest ceasefire proposal doesn't match with what's been outlined by the US President Joe Biden.
That's his fucking nuts.
Plan, which he said could lead to
it's like the free shell fucking game, man. That's all you're doing. Peace settlement, ceasefire. Now you see it, now you do it. What cup is it under? Oh, nope. Ceasefire. Keep your eye on the 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 ceasefire. What one is it? Keep your eye on the ceasefire, keep your eye on the ceasefire, keep your eye on the ceasefire, keep your eye on the ceasefire. Now, what one is it? What cup is it under? Oh, no, it's there. Well, in the meantime, and more thousands, or like all those dead baby bodies that were just getting dripped in front of you.
A permanent ceasefire, a complete withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, and implement a sincere and true prisoner swap.
The reason I'm
Earlier,
hitting
my
this up
colleague Leila
first,
Farage
folks, is
spoke
because it's
to
lost
John
its
Kirby, the White
DVR
House
thing.
National Security Council communications
I don't know if you
advisor.
can see
He
that there.
insisted the ceasefire
You
proposal
can
laid
pause
out
it
by
and stop
President
it, but you
Biden
can't
is something Hamas should
rewind
accept.
and all that jazz.
The proposal that the
I'm
president
sure they'll
laid
fix
out
it in a
on
few
Friday
days.
is an accurate description of the proposal itself. It is an Israeli proposal.
Listen to this
arrived
jibber
at
jabber.
after intense diplomatic conversations with us here in the United States, of course, in our team. But it was an Israeli proposal. And the very next day, the Israeli foreign minister acknowledged that publicly, that it was their proposal, and it was as they described.
Sir, I'm very sorry to interrupt you there. I have to push back a little bit about that because, of course, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said it's not a complete reflection
Who's
of
David
what
Knight
they
again?
have agreed to.
Oh, he's
It's
wee
not
fucking furry
accurate.
sidekick,
So,
isn't he?
there's been
David
pushback
Knight.
from the Israelis,
Kinda
basically.
strange, but I
So
think
who's
I'll
telling the
miss
truth?
the
Let me
fact,
just
Frank.
interrupt. Let me just interrupt
Well,
you.
GG,
Let
if
me
you
just
still get
interrupt you
kicks
and
for it,
say
mate,
that
you'll
I'm
miss 'em.
comfortable that this is in fact
Fair dues,
an
mate, nothing
accurate
wrong with that.
depiction of the proposal.
And
The
anyway,
Israeli
he won't
proposal.
go
The
away.
president laid it
He
out in
won't
stark
go
detail.
away. They're
He
just
didn't lay
taking all
out
his
every
shit.
single
So you'll
detail,
find
but
him. You'll
repeat
probably
the
find him in
components
Joe
of it,
Rogan
and
the
he did
day
so
after,
accurately, and it
if
is
not
an Israeli
today,
proposal.
getting
And now
drunk
it's
and
up to
high,
Hamas to accept
crying
this
his
proposal
eyeballs.
so that we can get the
I
hostages
watched
out,
that for
and
a
so that
dollar.
the innocent people of Gaza, who have no part in this war, can get the food, water, medicine, shelter that
Aye,
they
Barry,
deserve.
damn
But the
right, you
Israeli
will be back.
government is
You'll be all
rejecting
over all
its
the
own
alternative
proposal, the
media.
proposal that's been
All
laid
these
out by
gremlins will be
President Biden.
lopping them up. Getting Alex
I
Jones
don't-
on your
I've
show
never
as a
seen anything
coup,
that says they're
man.
rejecting it. I've seen some public comments by some officials that are disputing some components of it, but I've not seen some rejection of it. It is an
He's on a
Israeli
mission from
proposal. They've
Jesus.
acknowledged that.
The US House of Representatives has voted to sanction the International Criminal Court. It comes after the ICC's chief prosecutor applied for arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. The prosecutor has accused them of war crimes in Gaza. He's also seeking
he's
warrants
got
for
a
3
cool-
Hamas leaders. The US bill is largely symbolic since Washington doesn't recognize the jurisdiction of the ICC.
Recognize.
And the International Criminal Court is stepping up security after what it says are unprecedented attempts at intelligence gathering by countries.
See what I'm
hostile to the
talking
court.
about?
Media
We're
investigations
holding
have
our own
found Israel
elections and
used
stuff,
its
right?
intelligence agencies
See
to
if we get
threaten
more
the
people
ICC
our
to drop
box
war crimes
than their box.
investigations.
Then we can stand there and
Advancing
just go
reports
like
from The
what
Hague.
Israel does and the
Never
US does
before
to
has
all
the
these
only
international
permanent
bodies. I
international
don't
court
recognise
for
you,
war
say what you
criminals
want.
come under
That's
such
what we do at the
severe
government.
threats.
What are they going to, and we
Related
don't
to an
all
end
go
to
into the one
impunity for
place.
the worst of crimes.
Everybody in
The
little
ICC
small
has
pockets
set
all
up
over the
its
UK.
security
Can't he
system
police it?
after
Can't police it,
infiltrations,
can't kettle us,
cyber attacks,
can't
and
hit us over
threats
the
from
fucking
national
head.
spy agencies trying to interfere with its investigation.
I have a solution, and yet
Recent
no cunt will listen
publications
or
show
even
that
turn up
Israeli
for that
intelligence
matter. But I'll be
agencies
doing
have
it.
threatened, smeared, and
Then I can laugh at
intimidated
all the other
prosecutors and
clowns
lawyers
pulling themselves
investigating
apart over
suspected
Tommy
war crimes
Robinson,
committed by
fucking
Israel in Gaza and
Antifa.
the
Is
occupied
Antifa
West
still a thing?
Bank. Dutch politicians have also
Or it's
demanded
still
an
mobs.
inquiry into the possible involvement of
Hope not,
Israeli
hey.
diplomats.
The Netherlands,
full
as a
fucking
host
shebang
country
of
of the
them.
ICC
Cults,
and many other
clans,
international
left,
institutions,
right,
has a special
arseholes versus each other.
responsibility to make
No
sure
offence
that
if you're
these
in that paradigm,
institutions
man,
can
but
function independently
said I'm just my
and
own
must
wee
be very
rowboat
tough
in the
when
middle.
it comes to this type of intimidation practices.
My
The
boat,
ICC Palestine
laughing at the
investigation
left and
recently
right.
led to requests for
Merrily,
arrest warrants
merrily,
for Israeli
merrily,
Prime Minister
merrily.
Benjamin Netanyahu,
Just
his
don't
defense
give a
minister, and
shit.
3 leaders of Hamas. Palestinian organizations who have been crucial in compiling evidence for this case have also faced serious threats.
One of that, it's like a mafia ways.
Like the
The
mafia.
threats. One of that is the calls. One of that is to put, funeral roses behind the door of our colleague in the Netherlands. She was our focal person to the ICC. If she doesn't want to stop her work, she will be disappeared.
The former employee does not want to be
That's
filmed.
nice.
While she continued her work compiling evidence of Israeli war crimes for this court, she says the threats against her became increasingly serious and sophisticated. Changing her phone numbers didn't help because those who were threatening her immediately knew her new numbers. Sponsors of Al-Haq were receiving smear messages, and emails of Amnesty
Israeli
International who were
intelligence,
trying to help her were hacked. Meanwhile, she and her relatives continued to receive threats, even
Doing
abroad.
the Lord, but he's
After
lost his
3 years
edge
of
when he tried
investigating,
to
the
go
authorities
corporate
closed their
with the
case,
flashing
saying they could
pseudo.
not find a suspect. Her former boss is convinced who was behind the threats.
I'm sure that They were in contact.
He started to believe his own stardom, man, and that's when he thought he could day and say and get away with it, and thus Sandy Hook.
From continuing the investigation. In reply to questions from
Maybe he believes all this demon shit as well. Maybe it's no shit. What I know is that he gets other people to literally, and I hate to use that word literally because it doesn't mean literally anymore, but when I say literally, I mean literally.
Independent Palestinian state.
And I've spoke to people who think folk that aren't on the same page of them politically are demons, they're devil, Satanists.
By Spain, Ireland, and Norway.
Right, so if he doesn't believe that, but I do, man, he's a fucking Texan, man, those cunts are fucking doolally, fucking religious.
Climate crisis.
And my name's Houston. A bedroom or toilet, whatever he used. I used to think it was more Andy Peters in the broom cupboard, you know?
Hello, the UK has just had its wettest spring in nearly
Everton
40
Fox,
years.
man, what a fucking cool name, man.
But it has been its warmest.
That is a fucking film star's name, isn't it?
Much cooler air.
Featuring Everton Fox as Big Cock Sam. Oh. Right, how long's that been? That's only been the first quarter hour, right? So they've got their Gaza, they've got their dead babies and bodies. I can't really go back to it, so it might be worthwhile just seeing what else they're going to throw out there. Anyway, I want to see
in across
Everton.
Germany, we'll see some wetter weather also just running across the Low Countries. Lively showers do continue down towards the
Miss, see what you're saying there, Trump dumped
them.
Of course Trump dumped them.
Across Belarus. Trump
told us that he was told people that he was going to tell us who killed JFK, he was going to stop all the vaccine stuff. He groomed. He deliberately, almost as if like there was a political campaign going on and they went, right, there's a demographic over there, how can we get them to vote for us? Oh, I know, JFK, UFOs and vaccines, boom shakalaka. Alex Jones's guns, Alex Jones's cult is on board and Trump gets elected.
This is Turkey.
This isn't an accident, folks. Anybody, most political people who
in partnership with the global sustainable
analyse politics instead of getting sucked in with the culture of it will tell you that's exactly what happened. And that's why after Trump getting elected just that all this woke shit started, because the other side realised what a electioneering tool the social medias and all that were and had been. Look at the cult of Trump that existed worldwide. Like, what the fuck is Trump got to do with you sitting in London? Oh, well, I just like what he says. Well, me too. I like entertainment of that fucking crackpot. Anyway, let's see what else Doha has to throw.
Welcome back. You're with Al Jazeera. Here's a reminder of our top stories this hour. The Israeli military is carrying out airstrikes on heavily populated areas in central Gaza. At least 75 Palestinians have been killed in a 24-hour period. Attacks are targeting refugee camps, including Al-Bureij and Al-Maghazi. Hamas says Israel's ceasefire proposal doesn't align with that outlined by US President Joe Biden last week. The group
honestly think
says
it's disgusting, man.
Israel will permanently end the war in Gaza before.
I mean, showing us rubble and all that is enough.
The US House of Representatives has voted to sanction the International Criminal Court. It's in response to a decision by the prosecutor to apply for arrest.
What if they don't recognise your court like they don't recognise your court? As I said, man, it's all about people, men, human beings, not God. That shit doesn't exist, folks. Wake up. Men making claims and having shit to back it up.
The Lebanese army says a gunman involved in the shooting has been injured
and countries,
apprehended.
laws, all these concepts that we fucking buckle under.
To the US Embassy. What more can you tell us about this?
Man-made concepts to control man. Same as religion. All we are organised religions. And men standing above you and go, here, I'll tell you what God is. Isn't he said? Didn't he say? Oh, wait, mate, I'll make my own mind up.
Not
anyway.
allowing people to
reach the embassy compound, which is approximately 700 meters from where we are. The Lebanese army issuing a statement, a very, very brief statement,
into the British stuff
saying that
and
there was a
what's going on
shooting
with the British
incident
politics.
and that the
And
army
we say,
responded to sources of fire and that
Al
a
Jazeera
gunman
wraps up
was
this shit.
shot and apprehended and taken to hospital. They do say that he was a Syrian national. Now, what we understand from Lebanese security sources is that he may not have been acting alone and that there could have been more gunmen involved.
I don't know about you,
in
right?
this
See, when I go to
attack,
commit
up to 4,
terrorist
with some
attacks,
security
I always
sources
put
suggesting
I
that
am
one is still at
Spartacus
large.
t-shirt
You really
on, you know,
feel
just
the
so that in
tension
case I
here.
get killed, they know
This is the
exactly
first
who I
attack
am.
of its kind in years, really. Yes, there was a shooting incident in September, but that was a personal
definitely
personal
cracked some
dispute.
bones in my elbow.
But ever since the war on Gaza happened in October, we've seen violent protests in this area. People trying to make their way to the embassy, people venting their anger towards the U.S. administration. They see their support to Israel, you know, as a cause of the suffering of the Palestinian people. But it's too early to say, you know, the motives or who was behind this attack, because there hasn't been any claim of responsibility. But in the photo of the gunman who was wounded, you see the words Islamic State written on it. So still a number of unanswered questions on what happened here, but undoubtedly
funny,
a serious security
funny.
incident in the vicinity of the U.S. Embassy just north of.
Did he have his birth certificate? Oh, hold on. He must have had his passport right next to the bomb.
Now,
and
President Joe Biden is ordering
floated
immigration
into
officials
a
at the southern
policeman's
border to
hand.
deny asylum seekers
as a
entry to the U.S. The number of people seeking asylum at the U.S.-Mexico
And the
border has
morning
reached
DJ.
record levels. Our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett, has more.
See if he's can write your
With the
bad
number
words
of
in code.
undocumented
Otherwise, it
migrant
gets fucking
crossings
held
into the
for
United
review, and I need
States
to go
surging,
clicking it, and some
President
are
Joe
getting missed.
Biden
'Cause
is taking drastic action to
3
seal
screens
the
and I can't
U.S.
multitask.
border with Mexico.
Let's fix the problem.
A new executive order gives border officials almost immediately the power to reject asylum seekers, only victims of trafficking. Those seeking emergency medical care or minors may be exempted, and only after vigorous screening.
Call me his
This
Nigel's
ban
butt plug.
will remain in place until the number of people trying
I don't know if
to
any
enter
can remember when I done
reduced to a
when
level that our system can
Paul
effectively
Golden
manage.
said
The
Tommy
number of
Robinson for
migrants
PM, and I done a
crossing
Tommy
into the US
Robinson
has hit
cabinet.
record levels.
Nigel Farage
At
was
its
in it,
peak
man. He was his
December, More
assistant.
than 10,000 migrants crossed into
So
the
it could
United
go the
States
other way.
each day. Biden's new order is similar to a policy put in place by former Republican President Donald Trump. Back in 2018, Democrats, including Biden, called the policy heartless and inhumane. The White House insists this policy is different. Republican critics are skeptical.
This is election year politics. And by the way, we've seen this game before. Apparently the Democrats have one playbook, which is create
It looks
a
like an
crisis,
Ewok
and then
too,
a couple
innit?
of months
Or no, it's
before
the
the
devil.
election,
No, it's Count
do
Dracula.
something
He
very
looks like
mild to
a
address the
bona
crisis
fide
and
Count
see problem
Dracula.
solved.
With the presidential election
Aye,
looming,
the
White
polls for a
House
bit of
hopes
crack.
the
There is
new
no right,
Biden
there is no
order
wrong
will
answer,
pull
man.
away
And if you want to be
Republican
extra funny,
voters
a
who
brick
like
is an
Trump's
option.
tough immigration policies, but not his
I'll be
criminal
honest, that my
convictions.
jet
According to this
for shits
analyst,
and giggles, I would
the
say
spike in
yeah,
illegal
a brick.
crossings is a
But if I was being
concern
honest,
for
I'd say no.
Americans.
I just wouldn't participate in stuff like that, man.
In part about first giving the administration
I'd
tools
rather than
to
go up and
address
ask them
that,
about colours,
and second, giving
Tinkerbell's
them
hairs.
a concrete shift in policy that they can point to at things like the upcoming presidential debate later this month.
Trump wanted to build a wall along the entire southern U.S. border during his own presidency, and he's promised mass deportations if elected again. But immigration advocates, including the American Civil Liberties Union, challenged President Trump's asylum order back in 2018. They succeeded in blocking it through the federal courts. Now the ACLU is preparing a similar challenge against President Biden's order. Kimberly Halkett, Al Jazeera, the White House.
Now, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is due to meet coalition partners later on Wednesday to discuss forming the next government. Modi declared election victory on Tuesday.
I'm going to argue they're going to do the... That's 22 minutes at Al Jazeera, so let's go and see if we can catch up with the British yet. Hello. Bitch, speak up. Ooh, breaking, but remember we're on Spaceballs. What the fuck's happening
We have
here?
some breaking news for you this morning. The BBC has learned that the Chief Treasury civil servant wrote to Labour 2 days ago saying the Conservatives' assessment of their tax plans should not be presented as having been produced by the civil service. The letter also said that government ministers had been reminded on this. The tax claim was at the heart of Rishi Sunak's attacks on Sir Keir Starmer.
All right, hold on.
Servant.
Half reason.
Hello and welcome. I'm Marianne Mashiri.
So, civil servant is written. Labour. They're all lefties. I hate that word, lefties. Right, is that him?
We have some breaking news for you this morning. The BBC has learned that the Chief Treasury civil servant wrote to Labour 2 days ago saying the Conservatives' assessment of their tax plans should not be presented as having been produced by the civil service. The letter also said that government ministers had been reminded on this. The tax claim was at the heart of Rishi Sunak's attacks on Sir Keir Starmer in last night's first general election debate. In fact, he said, and I'm quoting, independent Treasury officials have costed Labour's policies and they amount to a £2,000 tax rise for every working family. It looks like now the Chief Treasury civil servant actually wrote to Labour 2 days ago saying that the Conservative assessment of their tax plan should not be presented as having been produced by the civil service.
Why did they
the
write to
debate
Labour?
saw the Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer challenge the Prime Minister over hospital waiting lists, amongst other things. With a roundup of the highlights from that debate, here's our political correspondent Ian Watson.
The first debate of the campaign
really
was a head
confused
clash.
me, man. I'm sure it will
Prime
come out in the
Minister
wash.
and a
but-
man who wanted to replace him. If you're still wondering about the key messages they want to hammer home at this election, wonder no longer.
This election is all about...
Hold on, man. You heard that piece first. Building Britain. Oh, meaningless. Why doesn't the news programmes go like, what does that actually fucking mean? Do you know what I mean? Build what? Change what? And what chaos are you going to fucking stop?
About a choice.
Be precise here. Chaos in the NHS, chaos in the streets, the chaos in my fucking head, on top of my head, in my head. What chaos? Be specific. Just saying chaos. Meaningless. Meaningless, lawyer, whiff-waff. Fucking shit.
More of the chaos and division we've seen for the last 14 years, or turning the page and rebuilding with Labour.
Rebuilding what? Stopping what? Chaos and fucking changing what? Changing your face again? You're due for a fucking upgrade.
Who knows what Labour would actually do? But you know what I would do?
Aye, fucking screw us over for the next 16 years like your party's been doing. Probably change leader another couple of times because you, my friend, are on the way out.
Or cut your taxes, protect your pension and reduce immigration.
Last night, the party leaders faced questions.
Right, so one for the bigots, one for the old people, and one for the middle earners. Pensions, brown people in boats, and taxis.
Not from members of Parliament, but members of the
I
public.
could have wrote that myself. In fact, mine would have been better. I think my pot noodle, I think the freeze on the pot noodle prices, 20% off the gyms. Oh, hold on, actually, a free fucking lip fuck. Do you know that shit the women do to their lips to fuck them up? One of them free a year. Boom! Women vote straight away. Every single one of them, from 12-year-old to fucking probably 80-year-old now, all want their lips filled with shit. So a free facelift for every woman once a year, and we'll hike your taxes up, and they still wouldn't give a fucking, they would vote for you. Like, I know how funny that sounds. It's probably fucking true. Imagine me, mate. Oh, I hate them all. Free facelift. I'm all in, man. You get dishing out your vouchers at the polling station, man. Get your free facelift here. Or turkey teeth. Turkey teeth would be a winner as well. I mean, give the people what they want. None of this tripe, meaningless crap. Free Sky TV for a year. Everybody been netbody. Free mobile phone. I mean, the list goes on, you know, and as gimmicky and as daft as they are, they're bigger vote winners than this shite. And they actually mean more to people. They would have a bigger difference in people's lives. Like, because this is a political satire entertainment show for Neds and Chavs, a free XXX bully for every cunt that tucks their trackies into their socks. I mean, I can't understand why none of these people hire me for their political
Paula
campaigns.
from Huddersfield wants to know what they do about the cost of living.
My priority has always been to do what I can to support you. That started with bold action, like the furlough scheme during the pandemic. And more recently, my clear plan to bring inflation.
They don't know what they're doing. Bold. You know what I'll do.
You feel when you hear a Prime Minister say, having heard what you're going through,
chinless fucking wonder.
It's all
standing up for the working class people. Not working people.
Waiting lists.
No longer working class.
Wait, 7.2 million, they're now 7.5 million. He says they're coming down, and this is the guy who says he's good at maths.
Not the same as Filler, what Kevin's talking about.
7.2 when you said you get them down. 7.2 million.
Miss, what would women want most? Botox. What do they get in their lips, Filler? I thought it was Botox in their lips as well.
They would raise taxes to help meet the many challenges the country faces. But repeatedly, Rishi Sunak asserted that Labour would have to put
GG, it was a load of shite. I had fun because I had the Roland Rat and a melted welly boot, using them for their face. South Park style, man.
There are £2,000 worth of tax rises coming for every working family.
What's happened here is, it's a classic.
Doberman have changed it, I know that much.
Labour policies to
it's been changed. No longer will you hear the working class.
The new reform UK.
Because working class referred to, let's say, a class of people. It didn't mean you were in work. It referred to the people who had to work for a living, as opposed to the middle class and the upper class who had bags of cash and could do what they want and lord it over every cunt else. Working class was like, fucking hell, you were all in it together. They're trying to separate the working class from the working and the non-working, rather than just all us scum fucks living through one day to the next.
Convention on Human Rights.
But if I'm forced to choose between securing our borders and our country's security or a foreign court, I'm going to choose our country's security every single time.
If I'm Prime Minister, we will not pull out of international agreements and international law, which is respected the world over.
But the debate wasn't over yet. Afterwards, the crowded spin room, party representatives tried to get
Barney, I
voters to see
fucking love
their
that
leader's
dude's lyrics, my
performance
man.
in the best possible light, and to cast shade on their opponents.
What they cannot answer is how they will plug the £71 billion
Working class
hole
hero,
in their
that's
own
what we
tax
hear.
and
That's
spending
working class
plans.
hero, that song you're
In fact,
talking about.
like Tory Britain, the lights have just gone out. This is a metaphor for the state of the country.
What has he actually said? What is he committed to? What is he going to do? Because every single answer is looking back. Is having a go, well, what about this trust? We're past that now. This is about the future.
Call him a boob job.
If you haven't made up your mind who to vote for yet, well,
a free boob job
more
for
debate
every
to
woman.
come. And oh yes, another month of campaigning. Ian Watson, BBC News.
Well, Rishi Sunak and Sir Keir Starmer traded blows on the economy, the NHS and also on immigration as they faced each other in that election debate. Lots of claims and counterclaims were made during the debate. BBC Verified's Nick Eardley has been looking into them.
Lots of claims in last night's debate, some of which stacked up.
Scottish cunt. Fuck off back to BBC Scotland, you fucking foreigner.
To put it all in a bit more context. First up, tax.
He's got one of those annoying Scottish accents.
Keir Starmer would put all that progress at risk. He would put up everyone's taxes by £2,000. £2,000 in higher taxes for every working family in our country.
He's the British expert on tax rises. They're at the highest level for 70 years.
Let's start with that claim taxes would go up by £2,000 for every working family under Labour. That is based on a dossier from the Conservative Party, which claims there's a £38 billion black hole in Labour's spending plans over 4 years. But this is important. Some of the assumptions behind the calculations are from politically appointed special advisors in the Treasury. Some of them are questionable. It assumes, for example, that it's always a lot less efficient.
Favourite John Lennon song of all time, and I would say it doesn't get played enough for obvious reasons.
Of caution. We will know more about Labour's tax and spend plans when they publish their manifesto. But last night, after the debate, they emphasised they weren't going to put up income tax, national insurance or VAT. Next, let's
God
look at
is a
Sir
concept.
Keir Starmer's claim on the
no, it's just the name of the song
level.
is God.
It is
John
right
Lennon.
to say that taxes have
Fucking
gone up.
immense.
This is the tax take since the last general election compared to the
It was
size of
after
the economy.
I say obviously, but it was after they left the Beatles and all that, and he talks about the walrus.
Income tax thresholds have been frozen.
Man,
If you earn more money,
he's
in
haven't
line with
heard
inflation,
it.
you pay
Listen to it, and he's
more
like
tax.
John Lennon.
Rishi Sunak
Listen
has
to
cut
John
national
Lennon.
insurance recently,
God.
but as you can see from this graph here, overall taxes are up. Just to give you a flavour of what that means for people on different incomes. You are worse off if you're
Up a
earning
bit, down a bit,
£15,000, if you
left
earn
a bit.
35 or 55,000, you're a
God
bit better off.
remastered
You're worse off if
2010.
you earn £75,000.
What did Lennon
Next,
say about
have a
Jesus?
look at the exchange
Ooh.
and the NHS.
Oh,
Here's what we heard in the
about it.
debate.
But we are now making progress. The waiting lists are coming down. But what Keir Starmer didn't mention to you, which you did, Julie.
Waiting list 7.2 million, they're now 7.5 million. He says they're coming down, and this is the guy who says he's good at maths.
Yeah, they are now
God
coming
is a
down. They are now
concept,
coming down.
7.2 when
which
you
we
said you
measure,
get them down.
which
7.2
we
million.
measure
They're now
our pain.
7.5 million.
I'll say it again. God is a
down.
concept by
Because
which
they
we
were
measure
coming
our
down
pain.
from where they were when they were higher.
I don't believe in magic. I don't believe in I Ching. I don't believe in Bible. I don't believe in Tarot. I don't believe in Hitler. I don't believe in Jesus, Kennedy, Buddha, Mantra, Gita, Yoga, Kings, Elvis, Zimmerman, Bob Dylan, Beatles. He don't believe in Beatles. He just believes in me. Oh, I remember the tune now. Yoko and me. It's a fucking amazing song. And that's reality.
A wee bit, but the
The
levels
dream
are
is
higher
over.
than when Rishi Sunak took over.
What can I
as Prime Minister.
say?
He says that's down to strikes.
The dream
and
is
it's true to say
over.
They had an impact. But this is where you get the claim
Yesterday.
both that waiting lists
I
have gone
was
up
the
and they've
walrus.
gone down a bit.
But now
Finally,
I'm John.
let's
So now
quickly
you know who
look
the
at
walrus
small
is by the
boats
words of
crossing.
John Lennon,
Rishi
the
Sunak
lyrics
said
of
they were
John
down
Lennon.
by a third.
And so,
Keir
dear
Starmer
friends, you
said
just have to
they were
carry
up
on.
this year.
Fucking
Well,
amazing,
actually,
man. I wish I
they
could play it
both
without
be
getting
right
shut
here.
down. But
This is the picture.
probably get shut down.
The number of small boats crossings fell quite dramatically
Defo.
between
Worth a
22
listen, man.
and 23. But as you can see
Aye.
here, they are up this year so far. So, some
No,
context,
man, John
all of this,
Lennon, man.
when it comes to
Fucking
making up your mind,
churches
there
and
are a
religion
lot more
hated
fact
him.
checks
I still
on
think it
BBC
was the church that
Verifying
got him
Now
murdered.
on the BBC News website.
Really, Damon?
Well, that was Nick
I don't believe
Early
the
talking
official
through
version,
some
but
of the
believe
elements
it or
of
not.
that debate. Just to bring you back to our breaking news story this hour, and that is that we understand that a letter from the Chief Treasury civil servant has, in the last hour or so, cast doubt on the Conservatives' claims of that £2,000 tax rise on Labour. Now,
Oh my God, right, okay. So after, let me get this straight. So after what the press deemed, a lot of people deemed a Conservative shoe-shack victory last night, the civil service, some would argue that that's predominantly a left-leaning organisation, have came out and thrown doubt on Sushak's claim, which gave him victory. I am shocked! I am sure there's nothing to see here. This is all above board.
if you remember last night, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, said in the TV debate that the independent Treasury officials have costed Labour's policies, and they amount to a £2,000 tax rise for every working family. Claire
I'm
Coutinho,
interested
the
in
Energy
that and the
Secretary,
chat.
And Net Zero Secretary went on the radio earlier and
keep
said
up with
that
the
the
chat,
letter
it's hard.
or that line was signed off by the Chief Treasury Secretary. But the Chief Treasury civil servant wrote to Labour 2 days ago saying the assessment should not have been presented as
Watching the
having been
news is
produced
that's a
by
good one.
the civil
GG.
service. Well, a little earlier, Claire Coutinho spoke to BBC Breakfast and said that the
Let it
£2,000
be.
tax rise figure that was
Beautiful
used by
one.
Rishi Sunak against Labour in that debate relates to a 4-year period, not a 1-year one.
Firstly, all of the proposals have been set up by the Labour Party and the
See, when I
costings
was
have been
about
done by Treasury
14
officials. But where you look at the
12,
most expensive proposal, the Green
13-year-old,
Plan, we're
sitting
probably
getting
hugely
stoned at my
underestimating
box,
the
right? And
cost
that's
of
when
families.
you-
And I thought
when
actually
you'd
it
built
was
up any
very
tolerance,
telling
man.
because
And
when
I heard
Keir
yesterday,
Starmer was
man,
asked about it
fucking
12
thought it was
times,
like
he
angels
couldn't
singing
rule it
or
out.
something, man.
He
It was
couldn't
like
say simply,
overwhelming.
no, that's not the case.
Tears
It
came
took
to
him
my
a
eyes.
very
I was
long
like,
time.
yesterday.
And actually that's because he knows it's true.
I went through a massive
actually,
Beatles
he
phase,
said
man. I had
completely
the
the opposite. And
They've
he's
done the
accused that you were
anthologies
very
when I was
long
younger
time.
because of
It
the
was 12
rebirths
times
for
he
the
was
Beatles
asked
because
that
of
he couldn't
Oasis.
rule it out, and absolutely not. These are
They jumped on the
which are based,
revive
as I
because
said,
of Oasis
on
and they brought
officials'
out the
work
anthology
in
1, 2 and 3. I
garbage.
think it was
Very, very late in the
double
day. I think he must have had
CDs.
a
Shows you how long it goes
a
by, man.
frantic text
Cost a
at some
fortune
point
back
from
in
one
the
of his
day.
advisors, but he
I had
could not
them
rule
all,
it
man. I
out.
was
There are multiple
heavy
things
into
like
my
that.
music back
The
in the day.
£2,000 of taxes on working families. The
And then
fact
Alex
that
Jones came
pensioners will be
along and
taxed
told
for
me
the
it was all
first time
satanic.
next year.
I was like,
that we put in place a triple lock class. He could not rule out the fact that pensioners would be taxed next
I'm
year.
not that anymore, man. I just
Well,
fucking
Labour's Jonathan
like all
Ashworth
this shit I
has
liked
also
when I was
been
younger,
speaking
funnily enough.
to BBC Breakfast, and he was asked about Rishi
Oh,
Sunak's claim
mostly.
about that Labour tax increase.
That is a desperate lie, categorically untrue. Every single policy that Labour is putting forward in this campaign is fully costed and fully funded. So when we say we're going to deliver 2 million more appointments in the NHS a year, 40,000 more appointments a week, we're going to change the non-dom tax regime to fund that. When we say we're going to recruit 6,500 more teachers for our schools and invest in mental health support in our schools, we're going to levy VAT on private school fees. But we're not going to put up income tax, we're not going to put up national insurance, we're not going to put up VAT. So he was lying about that.
That £2,000 didn't refer to that, did it? It referred to a document that the Conservatives have said was signed off by Treasury officials.
Every policy we put forward in this campaign, like our plans
I
to
hope
deliver
they-
2
I
million more
hope so,
appointments in the
DJ.
NHS,
Who
like our
knows?
plans to cut energy bills for good by
best-
putting a windfall
best
tax on the
YouTube
gas and
shit
oil
talk
producers
on the
that will
YouTubes.
allow us to bring energy
In the
bills
universe.
down and invest in renewable energy, good, well-paid jobs, including for here in the northwest. We've explained where the money is coming from.
Let's cross live now and speak to our chief political correspondent, Henry.
Oh,
Desmond,
do you know what,
who got the
Gigi? I
scoop.
was
And Henry,
a
lots and lots of questions.
crazy
this
period at
morning
my
for the
life. I was
Conservatives
heavy
to
into
answer.
Eminem, and I
Least of
don't think
all,
it done
have they
me
been
any
lying?
favours.
That's the charge being laid at their door
In
by
hindsight-
the Labour Party. I mean,
in
it is
hindsight,
the line. Every
it
Labour
didn't do me
Party
any
shadow
favours,
minister,
man.
official
It didn't make
candidate
me any
who has
more
been
sane.
talking about this on social media
crazy,
or indeed
crazy point in
in
my life,
interviews
man.
has been accusing
As
Rishi
if to say
Sunak
this
of
isn't a crazy
lying.
point, but
John Ashworth,
I
the
don't know,
shadow
he was
paymaster
just as
general, has been
crazy.
out this morning talking to BBC Breakfast. He said Rishi Sunak is no
Where's,
better than Boris Johnson.
chewing
Boris
gum
Johnson
teeth?
lied over Partygate. Rishi Sunak is lying over this. That's furiously
chewing
denied by
gum
the
teeth.
Conservative Party, a spokesperson saying that all of the costings
Everybody loves your-
that
your
were
mum
used
really
to
loves your
produce
chat
this
too,
figure
man.
came from publicly available information about the Labour Party's policies. But a couple of hours ago, the Conservatives will have been delighted because there was a debate about
I'll be honest,
Labour's
I've-
tax policy. Even though Labour were saying
I've not been listening to their mumble jumbo. I've zoned out. Let's see if the Sky News has got any other. They'll be bigging up
part today.
Sushak's perceived victory, won't they?
And
That's
the
what
gathering.
they'll be doing. Let's hope it works. And there we go. Look, see flat earthers. Get that round you. The full story first.
Morning, everybody. 9 o'clock coming up on today's programme. Who came out on top in the first TV showdown between the Prime Minister and the man who wants his job?
And the man who wears pink. Oh no.
Has told this programme a clash over tax exposed, in his words, that Rishi
If you're
Sunak
getting
is
your legs
desperate
out here and
lying
get
to
put
the
a wee
British
skirt on, man, a wee bit of sex appeal, keep the old men shooting down a wee bit longer in the morning.
It's Wednesday, the 5th of June.
And why does that guy wear
Fiery
pink
first
lipstick?
election debate
I
between
don't-
Rishi Sunak
sometimes it
and
looks
Sir
like
Keir
that for me.
Starmer, Labour's Jonathan Ashworth, telling this programme a clash over tax shows the PM to be desperate and lying to the public.
Can we just, you want to put everyone's taxes up by £2,000, and this is really important.
Right.
You're calling that
I'll
out
be
as
honest,
a
right.
barefaced lie.
Stand in the middle of a high street anywhere and go, does any of this make any iota of a difference to you?
As no better than
you know, there's a social experiment for Charlie Veach and his ex-gimp to go and stand in the middle of a game street, in the middle of High Street, and ask people just a live stream poll, can he be fucked with any outside influence? Just say yea or nay.
All change as the new King Charles banknotes begin entering circulation.
That's a good idea. Oh, copyright holders just want to shut me down. The Illuminati. What's that? What is that? A big chain? A big pack of fags?
Cements her place in Hollywood history.
Oh. Right, I'm in. Oh, fucking hell, hold on, no. I think she's about 90. Her tits look about 12. Her face looks about 90.
There were, at times, groans from the audience and interjections from the host to cut the pair off as Rishi Sunak and
wow, there's their look at our democracy in action.
Debate of the election.
Do you know what I'm noticing about this? They're all making it into like some sort of big drama that it wasn't. Oh, somebody rose their voice. What are you talking about? I watched that. I mean, I've seen squishy bottle fights that have got a wee bit more out of hand than that. You know, like when you fuck, he squished me so much, I'm going to put a wee bit of fucking washing up liquid in mines. Get hit in your eyeballs! Ah! Chemical warfare in a fucking 8-year-old. Was that just me and my pals? He's never used to do that, man. If he's wanted to get the ultimate squishy gun. It was back in the day when it was the fairy bottles that were the best. And I learned this trick for like not rinsing one out properly. It was like chemical warfare. Everybody was burning. Took a whole platoon. When a fairy bottle
campaign.
Signs of a misspent youth.
Making the headlines. Labour's Jonathan Ashworth telling this programme
that
it's exposed, in Mr Ashworth's words, Rishi Sunak as desperate and lying to the public. The Prime Minister accused Labour of plotting a £2,000 tax increase. A senior Treasury official has reminded ministers not to claim that civil servants were behind the numbers in that claim. Here's our Deputy Political Editor, Sam Coates.
I mean, I like Cindy Lauper's music because my mom and not used to listen to it all the time back in the day. So I know our tunes and stuff, and they're good tunes, good music.
I'm seeking your backing to change our country, to make it work once again for you and your family.
You know what I would do?
You can see why women
gravitate towards them, and reduce immigration.
The cost of living, the first topic from a voter struggling to pay their bills.
Our economy is growing again.
I'll be honest, Newsflower, the amount that I can take in, that I do take in, the talking, I've got one ear plugged in.
To see the benefits of that.
So if I get the washing machine on, I'm fucked. But it takes the edge off it, doesn't it? It gives you, like, instead of just shouting at your screen,
he knows inflation is going to go back up.
It allows you just to generally laugh at the piss. And see, over time, by the way, it really is worthwhile comparing all the different outlets, man. For your fucking Al Jazeera's, which where did it get kicked out of? It wasn't allowed into India for its elections. See all these wee snippets, man. It's interesting to get a...
to get waiting lists down.
Do you know what happened today, by the way? Let me see if I can catch this. I'm telling you, the Illuminati are listening to my channel.
Pitanje odgovornosti,
za
financiranje terorizma, za ratne zločine na vozujući, pogotovo u Srednjoj Bosni, dakle prema Hrvatima, na vozujući prema Srbima i tako dalje. Firmi Astra došao i S-300, došao je raketni sistem koji je tada bio čudo, koji je tada bio tek, dakle praktično...
One of the main arms trafficking routes in the Middle East passes through here.
What I was looking for was crosstalk.
against Russian offensive right now.
Oh, that's there, yeah.
Well, you know,
they're all sitting in a panel, all distinguished people and all that. Let's be honest, agreeing with some sort of a professor somewhere like that. World War III is already started.
It talks about in terms of how to get to
I was
an
telling you
end
that
game.
fucking when Syria was
Every
kicking
country
off,
should
man.
have secure
Syria
borders.
was
Their
America,
sovereignty should be
the West,
respected. Those
versus
aren't
Russia.
details, but
What
that's a
else do
good
you
way
call
to
that?
start. That's how you
With
start
fucking
the
China
negotiation process.
simmering in the
And
background.
what we have,
Thailand
with
was
this
the South
Zelensky,
China Sea
peace
thing has been
plan,
happening for
so-called,
some time.
which was probably drafted in London
NATO's
or
escalation,
in
right,
Washington,
let's
D.C., is
do this
basically
for
saying, Russia, you must admit defeat, okay? You should surrender to the first Ukrainian tank you see. I mean, that's not how it works. There's no imagination when it comes to diplomacy in the West anymore.
You're right. Peter. Actually, you know, at the past Sri Lanka summit in Singapore, Zelensky, he was accusing China for not taking his sides. Actually, China, there's no such a thing as China is pressuring other nations not to attend the peace summit in Switzerland, nor is helping Russia to disrupt the summit. In fact, as you mentioned, China's position on
I've been seeing this going on in the
Russia-Ukraine
South China
conflict
Sea
has
for
been
fucking ages. That isn't
very
new.
consistent, and it does not target any
Anyway,
specific
I'm just saying,
party. And
keeps clips ahead of the game. So also as well, by the way, like what was I listening to there? Done Al Jazeera. Let's finish with Sky News.
Where the NHS couldn't conduct all the treatments it normally would.
If you want to figure out what Farage is doing, look at the numbers and what it's going to do to the election. So there's two ways I can see it here. Farage isn't playing for PM this time round. He's playing for PM 5 years' time. Because the next person,
laugh of the night.
Sir Keir Starmer's a walloper, and he's inheriting a poison chalice. Right, so when he fails, and nationalism or the right wing thing, he's going to just fucking chop his head off. And Nigel Farage is gearing to be top of that pile. Whether it be under a newly revamped Conservative Party, or whether it be what the ones he went into the new, the one that he's fucking went into the new Revolve or Reform or whatever, whether the Conservatives do so shitty, they can't survive, which I doubt very much because they've got such a, they've got a massive institution, you know what I mean, it goes back a long time, so I'd be surprised if they disbanded, but if they reformed, which that party's called, so if the Conservatives took in the Reform Party and the people in the Reform Party went to top of the pile, then in 5 years' time, Nigel Farage could be in a very good position to be PM. Now, can you imagine Nigel Farage in a political element?
Between the shouting, there was a pattern. Starmer attacked the president.
What pattern? Like, can you imagine in 5 years' time, who the fuck has got the 5 years' time? Angela Rayner versus Nigel Farage. He'll fucking destroy her. He'll destroy her. In fact, he'll destroy most people put in front of him. He really would. That's the way I see it happening. So what Farage is doing isn't for now, it's for 5 years. What he's doing now is fucking up the Conservatives. Do you know what I mean? But anyway. But making him a big player.
14 years with nothing to do but think about the future, but you have nothing to say about...
Fucking hell, how...
Rishi Sunak has exposed himself as no...
Oh, here, don't take that out of context and put it in Hyde Park.
Happy with that.
Sunak exposing himself, like, oh look, she's on a bus. She means business.
They want to...
Let's look at these fucking bink.
Where do you see this going, Murray? In the debate last £2,000 said that was
Squirrel!
Lie. And now we have this letter that's emerged that's been written from a civil servant to Darren Jones, who is the shadow chief for elected.
So this is their counter-strike to what was perceived to be a Shoshack victory yesterday.
Really making. He said that differences between the two parties
don't
massive
exist.
jobs. We don't support austerity, which Rachel Reeves
Scottish.
does. But of
I
course,
mean, I'm
within
sick
that,
of
there are
pointing this
day-to-day,
out.
working
We are
between the different governments. It happens all
overrepresented
the time.
world
Not usually
fucking wide.
reported, which
Not
could be very effective, and of course we'd seek
you
to
go
do
and
that.
find a foreign accent in any Scottish media apart from one and a Yankee Doodle Dandy on STV News. We dominate the British fucking press and TV to that matter. Way like per capita if you look at it that way. And we do no too shabby on like Al Jazeera, RT, and old English speaking outlets as well.
Senior royals, you're right, will be here in Portsmouth, where 80 years ago today it was a very different scene, assembled here and right along.
Hey, fucking salute anybody that fought in the war and all that jazz. How many of them done it voluntarily? I know my granda get a chap at the door and get told to get in the back of the fucking van, right? But so more power to all of them guys and stuff. But this is, I'm going to say, will it get hyped more than normal? I don't know. I don't know how to compare it. Will it get hyped more than normal because we're at war and thus we need to get into a more of a war footing mindset? D-Day, look at our brave soldiers, all the heroes. It's conscription, it'll save our youth away from the fucking zombie knives. Anyway, what should we buy it?
The coast,
Say hi to
the
the
world's
fellas.
biggest ever seaborne invasion force, and for those troops
I
who've been
don't
training
trust
for this
Farage,
moment,
there's something
the time
about
had come.
Oh
They're
mate,
about to
don't
cross
trust
the
him, he's a
channel
fucking
for a
dangleberry,
journey
the
and for
shitty of
battles
London.
which had absolutely no
Far right.
guarantee of return. 156,000 Allied troops
so I
taking
hope
part.
that
D-Day, the scale of it was simply staggering, and here in Portsmouth, the departure point for thousands of troops heading for Sword Beach is the focus for the national commemoration event taking place on South Sea Common. The stage is set behind me to retell the story of D-Day through readings, through music. The King, the Queen, Prince William will be here, but it'll be the veterans themselves who will be taking centre stage. 17 are expected here today to remember friends, brothers in arms who didn't make
anybody who lied about
and it'll be
the
a poignant
COVID
moment for the King too. He was here 5 years
What
ago
did
for
Badge
the
say about
75th
the COVID?
anniversary,
Is that
sat
what you're
next
saying,
to
bud?
his mother, the late Queen, and he knows how much this anniversary always meant to her. He will then be heading to northern France himself
they're
this
putting
afternoon.
that, they're putting
But
that
for the
in
veterans
the
who are able to
Goberman, they're
make
putting
it
that
here
out there
to
in the
Portsmouth
ether as
today,
well.
their number might be dwindling.
How
but
do we
what's
get
really
people
significant
working
is the
for
fact
them in the fucking
hundreds of
army?
children have been
In
invited
fact,
to ensure their legacy lives.
it's actually noteworthy as well. I don't know anybody watching yesterday would have seen the Australian news. They were rounding up foreigners to throw in the Australian army. Here, the immigrants as well. The Australians are in a different mindset from us. They've been rounding up the immigrants and fucking sending them home for ages now. And they're like, they can get their citizenship hurried or fucking fast-tracked if they go and serve in the armed forces. And they're looking at foreign nationals as well. And this is unbelievable. One nation they were looking at to recruit foreign nationals from was the United Kingdom. I kid you not. I mean, somebody must have clocked it yesterday with me.
On that those who risked and gave their lives are remembered, and of course because they all helped change the course of history, Kate.
Okay, for now, thank
8
you.
years ago today.
More on that with the head of the Armed Services, Chief of the Defence Staff, Admiral Sir Tony Radakin, coming up just after 9:30 this morning.
My granddad's story's the best, man. Him and his squad people or whatever rocked up at a wee undeserted French village, got pissed and partied, and the Germans rocked in and they were prisoners of war for the next day. And he came back missing nothing, no limbs, no tattoo, no nothing, and he was in the prisoner of war camps.
News networks in the lead up to this November's presidential election. Separately, in the UK, a major incident declared by the NHS yesterday after a cyber attack forced some hospitals to cancel surgeries and blood transfusions.
Cyber attack or fuck
First
up?
Minister Vaughan Gething will miss today's D-Day events as he faces a motion of no confidence in the Senate. The motion was brought by the Welsh Conservatives following the collapse of a cooperation deal between Labour and Plaid Cymru. over a series of
I blame Will
Yesterday,
Smith
Mr. Gething
for
said
pretty
he's
much every
confident
black
of
guy
winning
having
the
a
vote.
fucking goatee like that.
The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will continue in power after his coalition won a majority in Parliament. But his BJP party
I was
failed
watching
to
something
secure
on
a
Netflix
majority
the
on
other
its
day,
own,
right, and
winning
it took
far fewer seats
me
than the previous
ages to
election. He
realise
says his
it
third
was two
term as
guys and
PM
no the
is
one.
a
They
historical
had the
feat.
exact same fucking hair,
According to
the
scientists,
fucking
the
Will
rate at which
Smith
the Earth is
goatee
warming
and
hit
the
an all-time
fucking
high in 2023,
speed
with
thingy.
92% of last
We're
year's
not on top
record-shattering
kind of thing,
heat
man.
caused
I'm not
by
even
humans.
joking to me about
A
fucking
group of 57
third of the
scientists
film
said
into
last
it.
year's
Or
record temperatures were so
serious
unusual
thing.
that scientists have been debating what's
Fucking hell,
behind
they're
the
two
big
different
jump and why
guys.
climate change
Wondered
is
why I was
accelerating
not following
while
this
other
right.
factors are at play. It's believed the rise is because of a build-up of carbon dioxide from
Oh,
rising
climate change,
fossil
of
fuel
course.
usage.
Of course, aye.
Women
Women
perform
needs more
better,
plastic
make fewer
for our water
mistakes
and
when they are
bottles.
on their periods, despite feeling less capable, according to a new study. A team from University College London and the Institute of Sport, Exercise and Health
Perform
studied
better
a
on their
group of more than
periods.
200 women and men.
Why are they
who
showing you a
completed
big
online
fat
tests
woman's
to help
arse
their
there?
mood
What
and
the
symptoms
fuck was that all
recorded.
about?
The tests studied cognitive.
Does that imply? Oh no 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 no
I've
no!
struggled with this every time. Stop it. With women having faster reaction and accuracy.
I don't. But they can't joke.
Study cognitive functions like reaction time. Stop it. And accuracy. I've struggled with this every time. Stop it. With women having faster reaction times, making fewer errors when they're on their period, and slower reaction times and poorer results between ovulation and menstruation. And the former post office.
Well, that would
chairwoman
make sense. You know, their body clock makes them make worse decisions when they're ready, fertile to get pumped. I.e. making them more likely to sleep with somebody. Thus keeping humanity alive.
Perkins is due to give evidence before the Horizon IT inquiry.
Gigi, I think that's what they said. I couldn't really
Got more
follow
on
it, man.
Yeah, you were trying to get.
I was about to read your
Yeah,
script. wasn't I?
yeah, you
Just
were.
getting you back for you laughing.
You've struggled with that script.
I have struggled all
day,
morning.
haven't you?
I blame the politicians because we had a
I
very
blame your
difficult time.
period, mate.
That is also true.
Are you off your period,
Thank you.
pal?
Let's bring in Rachel, should we? She's standing by in central London for us this morning. Hi, Rachel. What's the plan? Tell us.
Yes, I'm standing here in central London.
Today to hear evidence, the first day of 2 days of evidence from one of the more significant witnesses to sit here.
Fucking hell, man. Change the fucking script.
Former Post Office chairwoman.
See my dictatorship, man. People would be for the hanging. They would have the bodies would be getting fucking ate with the crows now on the gallows. None of this fucking piss. In fact, it happened years ago. First day in power like that, boom, this gets done. End off. People want it. Here's the digital voting system. Majority wins. Do you want these cunts fucking flogged? Aye. Flog the bastards. End of, man. Seems like a good system, doesn't
Arthur Kellner reports from the border at San Isidro.
Arriba!
Ones, in a way. The final group of migrants entering the United States before everything changes.
They start shooting them.
Dawn brings a new era on immigration, and a tougher one. If illegal crossings reach a certain level, this border will now be sealed, according
Miss,
to an
there
order
must be
issued
some
by the
sort of
President.
a... That wasn't there for news. That wasn't there for news, that period thing. There's something else going on there. You know? It's like, who sits at the editorial news desk and goes through all the fucking newsworthy stories and goes, periods! Aye! Is it just to wind women up? Is it just to get guys and women who aren't fighting yet today to start hitting each other with newspapers? It's a possibility. It's not quite obvious to me right now, man. To analyse that bit of news, I can't figure it out. But it's no on Sky News for fucking no reason. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. So fuck knows. My dad was comms Sparky in the RAN. Man, what's the RAN? The Royal Air Force Navigate. I don't know, man. I'm guessing. Or poor attempt of being a bloke. I thought the cramps would be at attendance. Where's Mr. Fods? Oh, we'll get on to him next, mate. I was just wrapping up the UK stuff. the Royal Australian Navy. I got the royal part back. Right. Cool, man. The YouTube purge of 2006. I remember it well, mate. That's when because of Trump, I fucking couldn't make money for fucking YouTube anymore. Fuckers. They say the last time I tried to get my channel monetized, I went through it with a fine tooth comb, and I was as ruthless as I could be. We're like, all right, okay, I could see how that might be a wee bit offensive, and boom shakalaka, nah, no chance. Still no chance, and I've got so much piss up that the only option I would have is wiping it all, which I'd be scunnered to do, and starting again. But even then, there's no guarantee that my current content would get through, because I don't think my current content would get through. There's no chance this is advertising friendly. No fucking chance. Who's going to want to advertise underneath this shit, man? Nobody. In fact, that's not true. The mighty Stores and Bickles, best vaporizer on the market, mate. Anyway, let's get back to Biden with a spit shield. Spit shield. Oh, teleprompter. There's me thinking he's got the cognitive ability of a fucking 21-year-old.
Control of our border, restore order into the process. And if the United States doesn't secure our border, there's no limit to the number of people may try to...
Is this my Trump derangement syndrome, or is he genuinely really like a mumbling old man? Which is a shame. Happens to old men at that age, you know what I mean? Why are they still rolling them out? I mean, it's a time when America needs to appear strong. They're currently appearing weak as motherfuckers. Maybe they're waiting to pull them to the last second, keep them jacked up on speed or whatever it is, till then, and then get Michelle Obama in. Whoosh, the Obama Clinton click back in.
Come here.
After processing, the migrants are dropped on a roadside in San Diego. Some don't even know
GG, I know.
they're in.
Maybe the teleprompter's on the inside of his eyelids, that's why his eyes are... Oh, cracked the code! GG! I think we'll crack the code. I think the reason his eye shuts is they've surgically implanted teleprompters on the inside of his eyelids. So, that's why when he opens his eyes, he stops. He's just like Ronald Reagan and George Bush and watched too many cowboy films.
To those already in the United
And
States
thinks it's cool.
to let them know they're on their way. I've heard about the new order, says Aurelio from El Salvador. I feel fortunate to have arrived before it takes effect. It's my dream to be here. Derley has come to escape gang violence in Colombia, where she owned a shoe shop. I come here fleeing my country, she says.
Come here!
If Biden changes his laws, I don't know where I'll go.
Oh, fuck's sake, what?
This is a man who...
Right, now, as far as I'm aware, this Sky News is aimed at a UK market. It's meant to be UK news. That's why it started with all the fucking UK... What the fuck do people in the UK give a flying fuck about American borders? We've got enough trouble with our own. I mean, I get it. It's news cannon fodder. I mean, it's what's that saying? Newstainment. What was it? Newstainment or something? It's not news. It's entertainment. It's titillation. It's basically Trump and Biden bashing in the run up to that. And then they'll talk about how Russia influenced the American and the British elections and all that jazz through the power of RT. These guys are the masters at it, and this is what we're witnessing here.
Came into power criticising
all under the mask of journalism.
Immigration. Now we see him making a move reminiscent of his predecessor. Critics say it's a cynical action 5 months out from an election, with immigration a motivating factor for voters.
Also, it's setting a very bad precedent, right? A precedent that making decisions that are politically motivated to gain political points in an election year are more important.
What? Up until now, I thought unicorns and rainbows really fucking existed. But now, there's a politician doing things. I speak like this because I'm a dumb American. But I woke up this morning believing in fairies. And then Biden done something to get votes in an election year. Oh my God, this is so bad. What the fuck? Are you as naive as you are fat?
For President Biden than respecting human rights. That is
I'm a bad man. I'm a bad man.
Children who cross the border unaccompanied are exempt from the new order. Nevertheless, this is the most restrictive border policy by a Democrat president in recent memory. It is a shutout, which shows just how much the politics around immigration have shifted to the right. Martha Kellner, Sky News at the San Isidro border.
The strong man's daughter.
Well, they say cash is king.
Like a hologram in his brain.
To talk about the royal family, including the circulation of new banknotes. Why the difference? Stay tuned to find out.
Right, so it costs money to produce new banknotes, or because fucking it's now Prince Charles's money.
To commemorate our D-Day heroes, we'll be speaking with the charity behind this
it's the Knights
incredible
Hospitallers.
memorial.
What the fuck business? Now I understand if you're got interest in American politics and you go to seek out American politics. I mean, for example, like boom shakalaka. If I go to the news, hang me, and I go right UK. I don't want. Why the fuck would an American border policy, left, right, or whatever, be on that there at all? And I've not even looked at it, so it probably is, and I've missed it. But if I go to fuck, it must have America. What the fuck? What kind of new JD News shit is this? Why the fuck can you not go to? Oh, more. Here we go. No. What are you doing to me? I thought, fucking hell. I thought you could go. I thought they'd done an American page. Right, well, let's just go to the world stuff. But anyway, it's weird why Sky News would show. It's not weird. There's obviously a reason for it. It's to try and influence the American election before the election, because it's an election year. It's no hard to decipher, but a lot of people just look at that and go, "Oh, do you see what those Americans and those Trumps? Oh, dearie me." What's that got to do with us? When we're like, see, when our ivory tower's fucking all complete, right? We'll start fucking pointing over the Atlantic like that. Here, look at those pricks, right? And see, until then, let's deal with our shit show, because I'll tell you what, it's a shit show. What the fuck is this push? Oh, I've got Spaceballs. Alright, hold on. This is Sky News International, I stand corrected. So why the fuck did it lead with all the British piss? And that is the same programme that you get on your council TV, because it's hot.
Interesting people on the back, 50, 20, 10 and £5 note. I'm not sure about the image of the king, I have to say. I don't think it looks. Oh, really?
Well, when they show, he inspected them.
He shows them,
he said everybody else looked brilliant. He said nothing about himself, so I'm not sure that he likes it very much either. But it's a historic moment because it's the first time they've actually changed the monarch on the notes.
I think it looks like him, but it looks like he's got one eyebrow up like that.
In 1960. So
I can't do the one eyebrow up.
And I'll be, keeping.
I won't be sharing these with you.
No, exactly. Yes. Don't let me walk away with them.
Yeah. Okay. So he wasn't.
I hate the new money, man. I'd go back to the
he's
taper shit.
Continuing
I'm assuming it's a counterfeiting thing.
Part in D-Day celebration.
Yes, I think there's a massive moment for him. He
and all that. You can give too many away.
He's also had to step back
because
from
they stick together.
of royal jobs recently because of
the election campaign.
So he had to cancel a load of public visits. But this, the government don't consider to.
Right, let's get a drunk or not drunk. There he's there.
Story building. One hole I see clearly in the thermal image.
Boko Haram is one of the world's most ruthless Islamist groups. It's terrorized West Africa.
Estimated 36,000.
Where the T-55 army.
of small arms and
jury.
If they not got a time clock on their doohickey.
об этом никто широко не говорил.
They can use Indian election results.
Проинспектировать, выяснить, сколько, где.
Its attacks on the region.
I'm going to leave it there.
Palestine is recognized as a sovereign state by 146 of the 193 members at the United Nations. Spain, Norway and Ireland are the latest to join the list.
Obviously, boob tubes get fucking way ahead of the game and probably
Israel
more
stands
money.
firmly in
better.
opposition.
What would you call it?
We spoke with Ali Kleber, a professor of anthropology in Jerusalem. He says positive moves by Palestinian officials shows that Gaza and the West Bank are united.
Unfortunately, Israel
big fat fucking
behaves
cheeks getting in the way.
with impunity. They feel there'll be no sanctions. There's no one can control them. There's no one who can stop them. On
Nothing
the
the Arabs fucking love better than a big Alsatian coming after them. You know, something the Nazis. That's another thing the IDF have in common with the Nazis. There we go.
Having witnessed what happened to Hamas in Gaza, they would not dare to come
They've got
out
dogs
against
in
them.
the army.
And this act, this what do you call it?
So funny. Maybe not UK Asians, but see Asians outside the UK that came over here, man, to see them run dogs.
To show we are one Palestinian people.
Fucking hilarious. No way,
Contrary to the assertion of the Israelis that we are separate, the West Bank is separate from the Gaza, it's divisive strategies of the Israelis will be, what do you call it, dissolved.
Scam on Sunak, Brokeback Mountain 2.
The Palestinian Authority coming from the West Bank, witnessing against the genocide is very positive.
Barry, are you talking about the plastic notes were first used in Australia?
The war of Netanyahu is no longer against Hamas, it's against the Palestinians.
South Africa's opposition leader has proposed an alliance with the ruling ANC party, which has lost its majority for the first time in 30 years.
Do you know what? I've just noticed none of them talked about Nigel Farage and the milkshake. Yeah. Is there footage of it? Assuming there will be. I've seen those pictures. Video. Milkshake 13 hours ago. It's going to be a YouTube video talking
well, I was actually on top of the Reform bus just by where the incident happened, and no one saw that one coming at all. It really did catch everyone by surprise. I think at first he was a bit shocked and then kind of laughed it off.
There's other things been going on today, but we saw Nigel Farage getting drenched by...
What a daft wee cow, right? There's going to be some fucking twisted idiot windy licker online sitting looking at that and going like that. What if that was acid? I could have got that in his face quite easy. And look at the way the world, man, there's Looney Tunes out there that are fucking sitting there thinking about that right now. And I guarantee all the leftists, all the left-wing press will be bigging this up. Times Radio, Rupert Murdoch, News Corp. All big one umbrella. I'll tell you who else is on News Corp, right? It's quite easy to see. I've got their app. I've got the Talk Sport app. That's the Talk Sport logo. And it comes up, and see if you look up the top. If I can do this looking at my camera. Talk Radio, that's all the Virgin things. I need to look how Virgin and News Corp are. But they're associates, they're in the same building. They're in... I might not have got the internet here. What building? Because they recently just moved. Talk Sport. And it's a big, I think it's across the road for the Shard, I know that much. The News Building, London, right? So Virgin Media and all that come from the News Building. Let me see. Houses of All, News UK's. Right, News UK's is Rupert Murdoch. including the Times, the Sunday Times, the Sun, the Wall Street Journal, Dow Jones, Talk Sport, Talk Radio, Virgin Radio, and the book publisher HarperCollins. It was designed by the Italian architecture, that dude. Who also designed the Shard, so it's across the road for the Shard, but it's the same architect, so it's and was financed by Qatar. Interesting wee side note that, eh? The news building known as the Place and the Baby Shard. Right. In January, Sky News opened its new business studio in the building, 2017. Sky moved its business studios to its sister channel CNBC Europe at 10 Fleet Street Palace. Extradition rebellion activists smashed windows of the building in response to the Sun and the Times coverage. It's funny. So is that it there? The news building lies immediately in front of the Shard, so there we go. So that's Rupert Murdoch's little secret lair in London. News Corp. Key people. Rupert Murdoch, James Murdoch, Rebecca Brooks. Remember Rebecca Brooks? Remember her about the News of the World scandal and all the fucking phone hacking shit and stuff? The stuff that Prince Harry. So see when you hear all these outlets talking shit about Prince Harry and propagating shit about Prince Harry, it's no because they fucking, that's what they just think and a Prince Harry's such a walloper. It's because he tried to get this fucking little evil empire held accountable, apart from Talk Sport because they talk about football, which is all good obviously, you know. Hurrah, Tommy Robinson. It's not as if the Talk Sport, that's the biggest sports broadcaster in the world, reviewing figures. It's not as if it's people with political agendas would have a dog in the fight to groom your average lager football casual fucking politically. Not dare suggest it. Rupert Murdoch's no sitting in his fucking evil lair like that. See all those dumb drunken fucking football fucking idiots? How can we get them to vote our way? Nah. That's just out the realms of possibility. And this is what I mean by doing your due diligence. You know, like knowing what news organisations are under all one umbrella. Oh, while I'm on this fucking, let's see who Reuters are owned by. They're their own entity, but let's see where they're based. Reuters, it's got to have a wiki. Came out of World War II, if I remember. I've been here, right? Like you can see that by that being highlighted. I've just forgot. News agency owned by that dude. He'll be interesting to look at. Employs 600 photos, 200 locations worldwide, 16 languages, one of the largest trusted in the world. The agency was established in London. It's a German Reuters. Thought it was German. Well, the Reuters would suggest German, but it was established in London in 1851. It's a fucking Rule Britannia, Queen Victoria news agency, you know? What could possibly be corrupt about that? Acquired by the Thomson Corporation of Canada. So it's Canadian owned at the moment in 2008. And now makes up the news media division of Thomson Reuters. Right, history. In fact, I'm going for this. This will be interesting. Reuters worked as a book publishing firm in Berlin. Well, propaganda in it, publishing books, control. Well, it's self-explanatory, isn't it? By distributing radical pamphlets, propagandists. At the beginning of the revolutions of 1848, these publications brought much attention to Reuters, who in 1850 developed a prototype news service in Germany using homing pigeons. The little bird told me. That's why Twitter was called Twitter. This is the history of like news agencies, as we know it, and electric telegraph. From 1851, in order to transmit messages between Brussels and Aachen, in what today is Aachen Reuters House. So there's still a gaff over in Germany. Reuters moved to London in 1851, established a news agency at the London Royal Exchange, headquartered in... So somebody earlier on it says it's probably MI6. Probably along the right lines. I mean, the whatever form of intelligence service existed at that stage, it wasn't MI6, it was called something else. Can't remember what it was called before World War II or during World War II, the Office or something. OFC or some shit, can't remember. Reuters company initially covered commercial news, serving banks, brokerage houses, subscribed to the London Morning Advertiser. According to the Britannia Financial News, it was first reported. It was the first to report Abraham Lincoln's assassination in Europe, for instance, in 1868. So aye, interesting. There's obviously more that you can go and get stuck into. I might actually do that myself. Thomson Reuters Corporation, I would imagine this, I'm going to stab in the dark, might be like some sort of a trust fund or some shit. Multinational information conglomerate. The company was founded in Toronto, maintains its headquarters in Toronto. Thomson Reuters was created by the Thomson Reuters Corporation purchase of the British company Reuters Group in 2008. Confused? It is majority owned by the Woolbridge Company, a holding company for the Thomson family of Canada. So it all goes back to families, isn't it? History, Thomson Corporation, 1834. Thomson acquired the Scotsman newspaper and moved to Scotland. Told you we rule the world, motherfuckers! It's the Scotsman that you get the Declaration of Arbroath in, that Robert the Bruce wrote back in the day when he was probably the pioneer of Protestantism in the whole of Europe, telling the Pope to go and where to stick it. He consolidated his media position in Scotland in 1957 when he won the franchise for Scottish television at STV, the one I was telling you about. I mean, when you scratch money for circus, there isn't that many fucking players, is there? Like, they're all bought over, run by this family, conglomerates, major majority shareholders and stuff. Does Alex Jones do any of that? Well, doesn't do any of that shit anymore. Sorry, too easy. But I'm asking a genuine question because I don't watch any of the talking heads online anymore. The YouTube personalities, I just don't dig it anymore. Does any cunt do their due diligence like this? Just figure out where the messaging's coming from before you listen to them. But either if you chase it all back, man, so Scottish television, he also brought the Sunday Times, acquired the Times, moved into the airline business where he acquired British Airways, into the oil and gas exploration in the 70s, consortium to exploit reserves in the North Sea, Scotland. So through the power of media, he ended up drilling gas in the North Sea. Wonder how that happened. Power and influence, anybody? Power and influence? How'd you get a license to drill in the fucking North Sea? Well, you have enough power in the media to do that. They call it the fourth estate, don't they? Following the death of Thomson, the company withdrew from national newspapers and broadcast media, selling the Times and the Sunday Times to Rupert Murdoch. Now, Rupert Murdoch's Australian, innit? He's Australian. Don't look at his name or anything or chase his lineage or his family tree. Rupert Murdoch is Australian. And then as I'm acquiring Thomson shit, we always... So, if all these entities, right, if like the Times and the Sunday Times and all that reports on you about oil stuff and global warming and all that shit, it's because they have fucking skin in the game in the oil and gas industry. That isn't hard to figure out. I knew that without even doing my due diligence. So again, it's like, see if you do what I just done there with that newspaper and Reuters and shit like that, you'll find out the exact same thing in the Truffer Industrial Complex. All fucking butt bodies. Like that clip of Alex Jones. I used to listen to that No Agenda show back in the day as an antidote to Alex Jones. You know, that was the yin and Alex Jones was the yang, because I get body deep in the Truther movement. I started seeing through Alex Jones, and then I caught wind of this No Agenda show, and I was like, oh, hold on. So No Agenda show that was there to capture people that didn't want to listen to manic Alex Jones, and they were both butt buddies, literally at Joe Rogan's fucking comedy club, giving each other blowjobs and smoking cigars behind the scenes. And that No Agenda show used to slag Alex Jones off, you know, on their show to make it look like they weren't on the same page as Alex Jones. And behind the scenes, admittedly, and again, here's Alex Jones's links to the CIA. He's a buddy with Adam Curry. Adam Curry, uncle and auntie CIA agents. And they were watching the other day a CIA agent flying to Moscow and all that as well, man. These people are not just your average man in the street. Anyway, that's enough fucking shit. Let's go and watch some news again. But that was well worthwhile. Maybe.
John Steenhazen says that partnership would be the best option for the nation.
What is the permutation then in your mind that would be the most beneficial for this economy right now? Well, is it a DA, ANC?
Well, I think I definitely think it is a coming together of the constitutionalists. And there are a variety of options.
DA and the ANC.
Yeah, it's a DA, the ANC,
a lot of
it's the
people don't
IFP,
even
it's the
do
Freedom
that
Front Plus.
when they look into who runs the news.
That exist there. But it's definitely important that the constitutionalists stand together now. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to have the anti-constitutionalists taking control, and I think that would be...
I didn't hear I didn't hear that Joe Rogan, in fact I didn't even hear Jones doing it either, but that doesn't surprise me. He's always inciting a riot. It's like Tommy Robinson, man. Like up here we've got a saying, right? Like, and it's a good saying. It's like, oh, fucking bring him, man. He's a fucking riot, you know, like gets the party started, he's a party animal, you know, he's a fucking riot. Tommy Robinson is a walking riot. But granted, I think what was it, June the 1st, their wee day out, Teddy Bear's Picnic. Oh, Teddy Bear's Picnic. Him and his Rupert the Bear suit, calling it a Teddy Bear's Picnic. Picnic. If you go down to the woods today, you're sure of a big surprise. If you go down to London today, you're sure of a big surprise. 'Cause you will see people with no teeth and everybody off their fucking tits. If you go down to the London today. It needs a wee bit of work, I think. But
of the British Empire throughout the world. The victory of the Afghan people became the most important event in the history of the oppressed people's resistance to the colonialists. It dispelled the racist myth of the European invincibility.
Oh, good. Right, that means I might turn this off.
The haul from the Faina, just like dozens of other Ukrainian arms hauls, might have gone unnoticed. But the pirates contacted journalists to ensure their spoils would go public.
That's live,
and so the name of the ship that hauled the biggest shipment of arms became known all over the world.
They're actually saying something and knowing what the result will be. So I absolutely think that it's on purpose. I think what they're doing right now is a direct correlation to what they want to have happen in the future, which is to create chaos, because opportunity comes in that chaos, and they don't care how many bodies fall in the process.
Whose stick is that?
The United States has always been the one to say, well, it's not me, it's them, while putting a gun in the hand of basically a toddler.
And
the United States, by saying that
he's
there
a
are no rules,
podcaster,
is basically stating that they're removing all the pieces of accountability on the chessboard.
We stay in a world where any
telling
cunt with
us
a
that they want
fucking
to get to a
webcam
resolution.
and
How do you
a
get to a
fucking
resolution if you're not willing
microphone
to sit
gets
at the table
on
and get to the resolution? And if you're telling
news
someone they can just fire
agencies
indiscriminately into Russia and that you're not going to have any sort of checks and
That doesn't
balances on what
allow
that
nothing
actually
to
means. There's
Reuters.
no line that they actually created. So what they're basically doing is saying that, you know, Ukraine has the ability to use our weapons, use our guns, and use our resources in order to hurt innocent people in Russia. So I believe that the people that are in power in the United States are rotted to the core. And frankly, they are the ones that are pressing all of the buttons in Ukraine. Ukraine is far enough down the path now that they don't have any other choice.
On top of about $175 billion in aid that the U.S. has already provided to Ukraine, the White House National Security Advisor says that even more assistance for Kyiv.
I'm going to say a wee bit of the Farage stuff.
A milkshake, not for the first time. Saw a bit of that, I think, in a recent campaign in the past.
And he's a
Rupert Sienna, I think there'll be a lot of people who like him even more, the people he wants to reach for being drenched in a milkshake.
Completely. I mean, it forces the main parties to say,
is she a midget?
this is terrible, we completely condemn it, and nobody should ever do this. So, you know, that's nice for Nigel Farage. And then it also...
And a milkshake martyr. It's not a bad place to be.
Well, exactly. It humanises him, doesn't it? It makes you feel some empathy for him, perhaps for a lot of voters. So it's no bad thing.
As you promised you would, we will, on July the 4th, win this seat. I'm humbled to be here. I'm flattered by your reception, and I promise I will do my best. Thank you.
Let's speak to Alyssa Fitzgerald then, our political correspondent, who's been in Clacton today to watch.
Why do the fucking Joe Rogan fucking podcast?
The that I was trying to do, honestly,
by it.
Just he pretty much got trampled halfway through it.
Right. Well, that's the Times, so they'll be kind of bigging him up.
There were so many people, and it was interesting as well. Lots of people who do live in Clacton, of course, but loads of people I spoke to who travelled from different parts of the UK just to come down and just be close to Nigel Farage, to see him speak in the flesh, which I think maybe sends a message of just how
it always comes to the campaign.
Us just by where the incident he was a bit.
Yeah, they're obviously talking about how popular it is. Yes,
Farage. Understand how Farage
coverage. Asthmatic as a motherfucker.
To this to people, I said a second. Lots of other with the Greens want to get more threats to Labour in and the public's quib with that.
As political correspondent
in people's opinions, man. I want to see him get his different angles of milkshake in the face. That's what I want. Let's see the big BBC's covered it. Are they going to show you any footage? Like it was a young, triggered lassie. Look, what a young muppet! Based her political opinion on a fucking Facebook page. And it's motivated her to actually go and want to pour a milkshake over some cunt. See, I honestly think a fair response to getting something like that shoved in your face is a punch. See what John Prescott done? Wallop! Like, that done him no fucking... done him no harm at all. You don't know what that is and you don't know who is doing it. It's your reaction, bang! Oh, it's happened to be a young girl. Sorry, hen. Maybe next time we'll think twice about fucking throwing... a cup of something into a fucking bloke's face who might be able to knock you out with half a fucking slap, you daft little cow. That's just my opinion. Surely you should, well, should you get arrested for that? Can you get arrested for that? And then, of course, the BBC being who the BBC are, want to show you the best fucking lovely shots. So, women held after milkshake thrown at Farage. 2 people. 2 people? How many people does it take to fucking... Maybe one was trying to stop her getting arrested or some shit, but The Reform UK leader was leaving the pub after carrying out a media interview when a woman appeared to hurl a McDonald's. McDonald's will be loving it. I'm loving it. I wonder how much they paid the BBC for that. An unbranded banana milkshake. See, if it was me, I would have definitely done a brown one, right? I'd have done a chocolate. Have some of that. Brown people in boats, what about brown shit in a cup? Boom! Over his face and suit jacket, Essex police been arrested on suspicion of assault. Should they get a fine, slapping the wrists? While making the arrest, the force said a man was also detained on suspicion of assaulting. Alright, I get it. Both individuals, idiots, fucking young muppets. But that's what the internet can do to you. That's what our windy licking, that's how crazy our windy licking devices can drive us. Tuned to the moon. I mean, what age is that lassie? She probably look, she doesn't know what fucking way is up. She shouldn't even be anywhere near PoliTITS. That's why, save her. I want to save people for her for being brainwashed into this shit and raise the voting age to at least 25. Let kids and old kids, young adults, be fucking old kids and young adults, and then when they've got a fucking clue how the world works, then engage with the political system. Right now, we have the political parties have a dog in the fight to get inside your kid's head, and that is fucking wrong, man. Any way you address it. Why do you think all these fucking political parties have wanted to go and lower the age? It's not because they love the children. It's because the political party that runs the school can fucking get the messaging out into the school and thus fucking control the youth and boom shakalaka. Anyway, school should be for learning, not politicising. Which it is nowadays, you know what I mean? If it's no fucking trans shit, sex shit, the whole fucking 9 yards, man. Anyway, let's get back to Russia.
Is expected to be announced in the coming weeks. Now, we spoke with people in the US about their government doling out, should I say,
mate,
money.
Blair was a genius.
Now, they said that taxpayer funding
I thought he was going to save the fucking world.
Country.
Tony Blair came to me when News 24 just started.
We shouldn't
BBC
be giving
News
any money to
started.
any countries ever. I pay my
And
taxes.
I was up all night because I was
me and
full
my
of
family,
sweeties.
my friends,
So
and my loved ones,
sitting watching
and other
TV
Americans. I don't
late
think
at
should
night,
ever go to
man,
Ukraine.
watching news,
benefit is
and
it
this
to
guy
keep
was
this war
captivating.
rolling? Who's making money backstage if the war in Ukraine keeps rolling? Like, that's a question I'd like answered.
We shouldn't have gone in there. We shouldn't have helped them at all. It just helps kill them.
I mean, I just think that, like, the American government should really help Americans first.
I think the USA should give the money to their people first, not Ukraine. They got to take care of their own first.
Well, let's turn our attention now to the Middle East. 38 Palestinians have been reported killed in IDF strikes on Gaza.
Just leave it there.
Among the deceased were 8 police officers, that's Palestinian police officers, who were attacked in their vehicle in the city of Deir al-Balah. Now, this video is from another location in that city. It shows an ambulance team trying to save the lives of Palestinians wounded in an Israeli attack on a nearby home. Local officials say that at least 15 people were killed in IDF airstrikes on nearby Burej and Maghazi refugee camps in central Gaza. The Gaza Health Ministry has said that more than 36,000 Palestinians have been killed in IDF attacks since the war began last year. Palestinian officials asked the ICJ to join South Africa's genocide complaint against Israel on Monday. South Africa filed the lawsuit last December to challenge Israel's action in Gaza. The UN's top court has ordered Israel to prevent genocide in Gaza and stop the IDF offensive in Rafah, a southern safe zone. However, the IDF continues to strike the region. We spoke with Ali Kleber, a professor at Al-Quds University in Jerusalem. He said positive moves by Palestinian officials have shown that Gaza and the West Bank are united.
Unfortunately, Israel still behaves with
Who
impunity.
says they're Nazis?
They
They've not
feel
got
that,
alterations or anything to
there's no one
terrorise
can
the
control them. There's no one who can
terrorise
stop
folk,
them.
you know?
On the other hand, they also feel that the Palestinian Authority is a hostage in the West Bank, and they will not dare, and having witnessed what happened to Hamas in Gaza, they would not dare to come out against them. And this act, this, what do you call it, their alliance of the Palestinian Authority with the suffering of the people of Gaza is a way to show we are one Palestinian people, contrary to the assertion of the Israelis that we are separate. The West Bank is separate from the Gaza. Its divisive strategies of the Israelis will be, dissolved. Their narrative will not be valid. The Palestinian Authority coming from the West Bank, witnessing against the genocide is very positive. It shows that we are one people and it's not two separate parties. The war of Netanyahu is no longer against Hamas, it's against the Palestinians.
South Africa's opposition leader has proposed an alliance with the ruling ANC party, which has lost its majority for the first time in 30 years. John Steenhuisen says that partnership would be the best option for the nation.
What is the permutation then in your mind that would be the most beneficial for this economy right now? Well, is it a DA, ANC?
Well, I think it's. I definitely think it is a coming together of the constitutionalists, and there are a variety of options.
Is that the DA and the ANC?
Yeah, it's the DA, the ANC, it's the IFP, it's the Freedom Front Plus. It's one of the plethora of other parties that exist there. But it's definitely important that the constitutionalists stand together now. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to have the anti-constitutionalists taking control, and I think that would be the worst possible option for South Africa.
All major opposition parties indicated they would consider a coalition with the ANC under certain conditions and certain circumstances. Members of the DA stated that they would choose the least bad option for them, which is forming a coalition with the ANC rather than seeing the ANC walking away with the EFF or the MK party. However, the DA opposes key policies such as the National Health Insurance, the Black Empowerment Program, and parts of the ANC's foreign policy. It is also said that this type of coalition government is expected to be fragile and negatively impact Black people, because the DA policies have been labelled neo-colonial by various analysts. Such policies will also never really address the poverty of Black people. The ANC's pro-poor policies will have to be watered down to accommodate the DA. But in terms of other options and other parties, there's former President Jacob Zuma's MK party, which has been the story of the elections and had won 14% nationally, putting it in a very strong position to influence coalition negotiation. Then there's the EFF, which pursues far more radical economic policy positions than the ANC, particularly in terms of nationalizing banks and mines. But the
So it sounds like there's a fight on struggle for power within South Africa again.
It claims that coalition may get rid of democracy, especially considering that the MK party wants to get rid of the constitution. But now the MK is threatening to boycott the swearing in of parliament's members for the National Assembly over complaints that the IEC have been very unfair, and there has been irregularities in the counting and the voting process that happened last
South Africa.
First sitting of the National Assembly.
I'm sure he played for Rangers. But what is it with these political parties on their fucking Venga buses, man?
On RT International, do check out RT.com and great stories there. We'll be back in about 30 minutes.
Back in 30 minutes, right? No, that's going to be that shit, right? Okay.
Выяснить, сколько, где, куда.
I'm getting. Oh, let's catch what this dude's saying.
Strategic defeat and take the United States with it into a strategic defeat. Because what's happening now? They're committing more crimes.
Hey, you know what you're getting with that, right? Let's go to where's the Yankee Doodle Dandies. this was good yesterday, the stuff they were showing, man. I suppose it depends whether the stuff
Check it out. I mean, it doesn't even begin until you have more than a million people coming here illegally on top of the million that come legally. So do the math. What's this really about? How can you argue the actual numbers? Look at the numbers. Furthermore, how is this going to secure the border? He's got all these exceptions.
This is the shit Sky News was talking about.
He refuses to enforce remain in Mexico or third safe country or build the border wall. So this is just more talk for the campaign. 5 months.
Really?
5 months before the campaign, he comes out with one executive order after issuing 70 throughout his administration, allowing more than 10 million plus people in here, 169 on the terrorist watch list. And you heard what Senator Cruz just said about the recent shooting of 2 policemen in New York City. From an illegal immigrant who was in custody.
Oh, yeah. Tell Tommy Robinson about that one, pal. He'll be loving that, man. You know what? Every fucking crime committed by somebody deemed an illegal immigrant everywhere, these cunts are all over it.
And secure this border. And it's this simple. It's this
And I'm sure it's just because they like the news.
All President Biden has to do is enforce the law. Enforce the law. Enforce the law. Third safe country, remain in Mexico. Now you do that, and maybe we can have a serious discussion about this administration doing something other than continue to promote open borders so that he can get elected and run that spigot wide open again.
Question.
Mr. Cornyn, I mean, timing aside, are you happy with some of the contents of this executive order? Is this a step in the right direction, albeit,
the volume in this is rubbish.
No, it's a fig leaf. He has absolutely no intention of actually enforcing any of this. If he did, he would have enforced the law, as we've heard time and time again, at the beginning of his administration, rather than piecemeal dismantle through all these executive orders you've heard about the existing border security protection. So this is not an improvement. This is a fig leaf, and I think the American people are not going to be fooled. Yes, ma'am.
Out of curiosity, you've obviously worked with Democrats before on a number of issues, including trying to negotiate something on the border. Did you hear anything from the Biden administration? Did they ask for any input ahead of
so Fox Corporation now owns it?
Well, you know, passing legislation is hard, and sometimes it takes a long, concerted effort. But the Biden administration basically is not engaged at all. They claim that a single negotiation that occurred a few months ago was supposed to be some panacea. The problem is, if they aren't enforcing current law, what gives you any confidence they will enforce any new laws? And that's another reason why I think this executive order is just political cover, and the American people aren't going to be fooled. Ted, why don't you take the question?
You criticize this move as a political play.
Forehead.
To the administration's assertion that the rejection of the
oh, he's Count Dracula again. What's his name? He's one of the Republicans.
It's totally false. The Democrats' border legislation was terrible. The Democrats' border legislation that Chuck Schumer put forward was actually designed, it was the same thing as this executive order. It was political camouflage. Understand what this Democrat legislation did.
It's no what
it would have codified, it would have put into federal law Joe Biden's catch and release, the practice when they apprehend an illegal immigrant, they let him go. By the way, it means Mr. Mata, who just shot 2 police officers, under the Democrat legislation, he would have been released. He would have been in New York. He would have shot those 2 cops. It puts into law that illegal immigrants, when they're released, automatically get a work permit. So it ends up benefiting illegal immigrants and attracting even more. It puts into law that many illegal immigrants get a taxpayer-funded attorney. Not only that, that legislation also put into law billions of dollars for the NGOs that are actively...
Fucking kill the Mexicans! Yeah, this is ABC America. This isn't even news. It's Disney, innit? I think it was owned by the Disney Corp, or they own the Disney Corp, or whatever.
By astronauts during a spacewalk.
Ooh.
Back in North Carolina, no official word on the source of astronauts during 1,000 pieces of space debris 45 station. And back in now roof and 2 floors.
You've got it goes.
Chunk of debris. Mike Wooten.
I can't remember.
We heard
what appears to have
high blood pressure is among the leading factors.
a new mystery surrounding what appears to have fallen out of the sky, this time over North Carolina.
That's titanium, I'd say.
It's an out-of-this-world mystery, a 15-inch hunk of metal and carbon plummeting into a North Carolina man's home.
We heard a thump on the roof right above me, and I came outside to see what might hit. I looked out the yard and saw this piece laying in the yard.
Mike Wooten thought a bird flew into his window, but then found this strange object that could potentially be debris from space. Wooten's chunk appears similar to this 4-foot chunk of debris found in nearby Canton, North Carolina. His son-in-law pointing out the similarities.
He said, look at this article on WLS TV. He said, that piece you've got, it goes with this.
Space junk has crashed to Earth recently. In March, this piece of debris crashed through a home in Naples, Florida, tearing through the roof and 2 floors, causing $15,000 in damage and nearly hitting the owner's son. NASA confirmed the cylindrical object was part of a cargo pallet for the space station. And back in 2019, this pseudo-satellite launched for a Samsung promotional campaign came crashing down onto a farm in Michigan. The U.S. is tracking an estimated 45,000 objects in orbit, including nearly 19,000 pieces of space debris. Among them, this tool bag dropped by astronauts during a spacewalk. Back in North Carolina, no official word on the source of that debris, but one expert claims a SpaceX capsule may have passed over both impact sites, but SpaceX has not yet commented.
Coming up,
a
new
I'm going to suspect they'll use that to stop China
Plus, we hear
getting to
from
the
the
moon.
actress pregnant at age 54.
Just seen the curves there.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Get on the chair and get your legs out, man. They know how to do it. That's news. That's entertainment. Oof. You can tell she's Australian.
And that is falling unfairly on people who perhaps don't, parents I'm saying here, who don't have the resources to look after themselves.
False advertising. Please do not drink it.
I can't believe you just did that.
I absolutely should not have done that.
This is
we have
is to fight inflation, but we've got to do that in a way that doesn't smash the economy.
Action against
that doesn't smash the
recession. The Treasurer confident Australia will avoid a recession despite economic growth slowing to a crawl.
Our job is to fight inflation, but we've got to do that in a way that doesn't smash the economy.
Australia's E-Safety Commissioner drops court action against Elon Musk's ex over the Sydney church stabbing vision. India's Prime Minister and the BJP cling to power for a record 3rd consecutive term, but in a weaker position than expected. And the countdown to kick-off. 80,000 fans head to Homebush for the opening game of the 2024 State of Origin series. Hello, welcome to ABC News. I'm Lorna Dunkley. The latest economic figures show the economy barely grew in the first 3 months of this one.
It's the recession Australia isn't having.
Stop standing upside down and make growth the other way.
Unlike the 90s, is keeping a 5 GDP to what Australia travel to all appointment full of
market growing. Turns out we're not getting it down.
Job losses, and said economists don't think
achieve and unlike
economists holding higher.
Of federal parliament, the Greens have been accused of inciting violent pro-Palestinian protests and the vandalism of politicians' offices. The party's leader insists the Greens are supporters of peaceful protests and have accused the Prime Minister of trying to make the war in Gaza all about him.
In Australia.
As Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese doesn't get to spend a whole lot of time at his Sydney electorate office, and for the last 6 months, none of his staff have been able to get in either.
Enough is enough.
Frustration and anger over the picketing and vandalism of MPs' offices by pro-Palestinian protesters. bipartisan blame for those accused of inciting it.
The time for senators and members of parliament to
There's all the
continue to
Aborigines.
attend and inflame tension outside these offices must end.
Fucking Abos in there, man.
Officers
Or is that one there?
of elected members of parliament being targeted with red paint, with vile messages. The Greens should condemn it instead of condoning it.
I will not be lectured to about peace and non-violence by people who back the invasion of Gaza.
The Greens leader accusing Labor and the coalition of ignoring the horrific human cost of war.
Instead of talking about the victims, the Prime Minister wants to make it about himself.
Insisting his party members, elected or otherwise, are not to blame.
The Greens, as a party of peace and non-violence, support protest that is peaceful.
What happened in Parliament today was the culmination of months of frustration from Labor and the coalition that the Greens are using debate on the war in Gaza simply to win votes here at home. But the Greens' support for the Palestinian cause has been clear, long before this current chapter in the conflict began. And its argument that Australia isn't doing enough to call out Israel's offensive may well be resonating with
Insurer Medibank plans to defend allegations it breached privacy laws in the lead-up to a massive data breach almost 2 years ago. The Information Commissioner will argue Medibank failed to take reasonable steps to protect the personal information of nearly 10 million customers, which resulted in hackers posting their names, addresses and Medicare card numbers on the dark web. With so many affected, the maximum fine could reach into the trillions of dollars. Ultimately, it will be up to the federal court to determine the appropriate penalty.
Entities aren't going to be punished just for being subject to a data breach, but they are going to put steps in place to prevent.
Stopped a high-profile legal case against Elon Musk's social media platform X. The e-safety commissioner wanted X to take down videos of the stabbing of a Sydney priest. The federal court case was shaping up as a test of the regulator's global power, but it has now been abandoned.
The battle has been lost.
I made a strategic decision to withdraw here.
But the e-safety commissioner warns the fight is just beginning.
Let's face it, the war is going to be much longer and more extended.
In the wake of the stabbing of a Sydney bishop in April, the Online Safety Authority wanted to force X and other companies to take down graphic vision of the attack. Not just here, but globally.
The only way you can remove that content is at scale, is at the source.
X and its billionaire owner were quick to claim the win.
This case has raised important questions on how legal powers can be used to threaten global censorship of speech, and we're heartened to see that freedom of speech has prevailed.
Freedom of speech is worth fighting for.
Elon Musk took a personal interest in the case. Julian Mangrand says that carried consequences.
He issued a dog whistle to 181 million users around the globe, which resulted in death threats directed at me.
We back the e-safety commissioner, particularly in light of the reprehensible threats to her physical safety and the threats to her family.
It is an absolute disgrace that she and her family have been subjected to this online abuse.
This case has been closely watched as a test of a domestic authority's power to regulate a global space. Some have argued it would have been a hard one for the e-safety commissioner to win, and others hope highlighting the regulator's lack of power might push governments into action.
It may end up that the case for change will be proved by losing in court rather than by winning.
Media giant News Corp wants social media platforms to have to abide by a social licence. Essentially, a new set of tougher regulations and obligations as to how they operate in Australia.
It's time for them to play by our rules.
Given recent experience, that might be easier said than done. Tom Lowry, ABC News, Canberra.
South Australia's Aboriginal Children's Commissioner has described the state's child protection system as institutionally racist and abhorrent, with First Nations children entering state care at alarming rates. After an almost two-year-long inquiry, Commissioner April Laurie
racism
connected from their rights get
removal is necessary. Ms. Laurie
acknowledging removal rates are unacceptable.
There are multiple and complex factors that contribute to this situation, and across government, we are steadfastly committed to the national Closing the Gap targets.
Ms Laurie has made 32 recommendations to the government.
We need more of investment in prevention. We need legislative changes to restore
the Chelsea News.
In Prime Minister Narendra
Modi wins.
Might position on more babies after a decade. The first time for democracy.
Into effect immediately, Republicans say it's too little, too late.
Facing mounting political pressure, the US president says it's time to gain control of the border.
I'm moving past Republican obstruction and using the executive authorities available to me as president.
I'm not joking. Like, this isn't Biden bashing. This is genuine. I cannot fucking understand this mumbler.
To do moving past Republican.
The president says it's time to gain control of the border.
I'm moving past Republican.
I'm moving past Republican
obstruction and using the executive authorities.
Obstruction that uses executive authority.
Available to me as president. To do what I can on my own to address the border.
Those caught crossing illegally could be quickly deported or turned back to Mexico under the measure. But the president says he's not demonising immigrants.
I'll never refer to immigrants as poisoning the blood of a country. And further, I'll never separate children from their families at the border.
The asylum ban kicks in when the daily
we'll hook them up together.
average of border arrests hits 2,500. There will be exemptions for unaccompanied children and people who face serious medical or safety threats. For those waiting at the border today, it was a bitter blow.
Biden's attempting
that seems to be all over the
make the invasion stop.
How many dead bodies is enough?
The truth is that Joe Biden's executive order won't stop the invasion. It's weak and it's pathetic. It will actually make the invasion worse.
Immigration is high on the agenda for Americans in the run-up to the November elections. According to polls, Donald Trump is ahead on the issue of who would better handle border security. Joe Biden will be hoping today's announcement will bridge the gap. But immigration advocates are already flagging an appeal, accusing the president of backtracking on his legal obligations to protect asylum seekers. Carrington Clark, ABC News, Washington.
Graphic excerpts from Hunter Biden's memoir have been used against him in his criminal trial in the US. The president's son has pleaded not guilty to 3 charges stemming from the purchase of a gun in 2018. North America correspondent Barbara Miller reports from the court in Wilmington.
Hunter Biden arrived at court to hear his own words turned against him. The prosecution playing lengthy excerpts from the audiobook of his memoir, which he narrated.
I bought crack cocaine on the streets of Washington, D.C., and cooked up my own inside a hotel bungalow in Los Angeles.
The First Lady, Joe Biden, and other family members listened as he described his descent into addiction.
I possessed a new superpower. The ability to find crack in any town at any time, no matter how unfamiliar the terrain. I could get off a plane in Timbuktu and score a bag of crack.
The prosecution told jurors Hunter Biden knew what he was doing when he lied to purchase a gun in 2018. No one is above the law. Addiction may not be a choice, but lying and buying a gun is a choice. But the defence argued Hunter Biden did not believe he was addicted when he wrote on the paperwork that he did not have a drug problem. The defence lawyer said his client had no intent to deceive.
Earlier, one juror was replaced after sending a message to the
drunk,
judge that she didn't have a car and couldn't
there was
afford
a wee
to
bit in
get
the
to the
fucking
court
rug.
by
I tripped
any
up,
other
my dick
means.
ended up in her.
It
There
was
was
a
no
reminder that it really
intent,
is
Your Honour,
12
for my dick
ordinary
to slip
Americans
inside her
deciding
vagina.
a case with potential implications for a presidential election.
Hunter Biden's ex-wife is likely to be called soon, followed by a former lover, his brother's widow. Barbara Miller, ABC
Never heard that one before,
Wilmington,
Roberto.
Delaware.
Doesn't surprise me. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't surprise me.
New South Wales and Queensland are set to clash in Sydney for Game 1 of the 2024 State of Origin Series.
Granny Biden never looked
Bryce
so
is
good.
at Sydney's Olympic Park ahead of the game and joins us now live. Excitement building, not long to go. How are these two rivals shaping up then?
You need Americans and fucking Australians trying to replicate proper sports and just failed
New South Wales coach Michael Maguire, who was brought in to replace
Honestly,
Cooper, who lost the last few series as Blues coach, and he's certainly made his stamp on this side so far. He's brought in 5 debutants for this particular game tonight, but a lot's been made of his decision to initially axe James Tedesco, the captain of the side, in favour of Penrith's Dylan Edwards. Teddy's been brought back because Dylan Edwards injured his quad, so a lot of people are tipping him to want to put in a massive performance, the kind of performance that he's put in for New South Wales in years past. For Queensland, they're going to be looking to go 3 in a row, which would be a very big achievement for coach Billy Slater. And pretty much everyone has got their eyes on the young superstar fullback Reece Walsh, who's been electric in the NRL, but doesn't have the maturity and the calmness to make the right decisions in big moments.
I don't think there's rugby league up in Scotland.
But look, the
That's
atmosphere
Northern
here
England, isn't it?
is so exciting. There's so many fans out and about. This is the pinnacle of rugby league. There's so many fans here to watch these two sides, and look, hopefully it should be a good one. Go the Blues.
You know,
I just saw a Queensland fan behind.
Gravitate towards it.
Hoping to
I
wrap
think I would
up.
say Wigan. I don't know why.
Preparing to make and are still
like
going
Olympic
into the
stadiums.
match as favourites.
It's not just Sydney in the Origin spotlight this week. Newcastle is preparing to make its Origin
not
debut,
Newcastle.
hosting Game 2 in the Women's Series.
It's going to be super special, and to be honest, I'm actually happy that we get to warm up on the field and don't.
It's the into the clash 1-0 up after a 22
It's more
wide. David, while the Maroons have switched captain Ali Briggen
and sure.
This Origin full best of out.
Just being here, take it to that next level.
In the
To
stands.
be honest, right? See the list.
Novak Djokovic pulled out
Roman,
of the
I think
French
I might
Open
finish.
with
Ah,
a knee
fuck
injury.
you, Djokovic. I fucking
had
had you down to
qualified
win
for
it,
the
you
quarterfinals, but he won't take.
Novak Djokovic had a medical timeout early in his 4th round win over Argentina's Francisca Cerundolo. Last night, the 37-year-old withdrew from the tournament, saying, "I played medial meniscus
sore knee.
top spot."
By the looks of it.
Straight
I'm
face.
gonna call me a physical therapist. That's the
ground to a
Australian
halt,
Open, isn't it?
which was no
So the business news now. Up a bit, down a bit, boom, and your money's gone.
Perfectly timed zinger, and the man behind below to Melbourne.
Bit of celebrity worship. Poor celebrity guy died, no doubt. And then some week happens.
To be released. Showers easing in Sydney, heavy rain on.
Up with the weather. Let's see if we can get any sense out of Singapore.
The sanctions have exposed the limits in China's advanced chip production capacity and Chinese AI companies' reliance on TSMC.
Motherfucker.
This is East Asia Tonight. Good evening, I'm Oteli Edwards. Tonight's top stories from East Asia. Peace prospects derailed. North Korea demolishes parts of the Inter-Korean Railway, erasing traces of cooperation with the South. Meantime, South Korea inks nearly 50 deals with the African nations at a summit in Seoul, spanning energy, mining and manufacturing. And China's foreign ministry in Hong Kong slams Western diplomats, quote, poor political theatrics, after 5 envoys appeared in Victoria Park on the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square crackdown. And Chinese companies designing AI chips are reportedly putting together less powerful processors to skirt sanctions.
Oh, and they've got a cool wee stadium with the wee arches figuring way back in the day.
Ahead on East Asia tonight, we delve into a closely watched development in India as both the BJP and Congress welcome their next steps forward after no party won an outright majority in Tuesday's election. We'll also examine what's in store for Delhi's foreign policy with an eye on its tensions with rival China. A South Korea spy agency says it has detected signs of the North demolishing some sections on the northern side of the Inter-Korean Railway, and it's seen by South Korean authorities as a move to erase the legacy of exchange and cooperation on the peninsula. Authorities say they will continue to monitor the situation. The Donghae Railway is among two lines that both Koreas had agreed to restore back in 2000 when the countries held their first summit. Seoul earlier accused Pyongyang of installing mines along its side of the railway in recent months, calling it an attempt to complete shut down the routes. Now, the statement comes as military sources in South Korea say that it will restart artillery drills in the demilitarized zone.
Are you actually having a dram or just a booze?
As early as this month. It's a move that could further raise tensions in the Korean peninsula. This coming on the heels of the country's suspension of a 2018 inter-Korean peace deal following Pyongyang's launches of trash-carrying balloons over the border, as well as
shit bombs!
Signal jamming in recent
Call
days.
a shit bomb a shit bomb. Come on, fuck,
South
man.
Korea has
Taking
signed
away all the
nearly 50
comedy for
agreements with
that.
African countries at a two-day business summit hosted by Seoul. The deals cover areas including energy, mining, and manufacturing. The South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol told political and industrial leaders at the event that he hopes their cooperation will be mutually beneficial.
글로벌 북한 위기를 맞아 상호 연대와 협력이 그 어느 때보다 중요해졌습니다.
So who's this dude?
최근 지정학적 리스크로
Still sounds like a dictator, just the way they speak.
공급망의
Hey,
아프리카의 역할이 크게 주목받고
hey, yo. That's your missus just asking you what you want for your breakfast, man.
핵심 광물 파트너십을 구축하고
You're telling me how fucking great I look or something, you know? You still feel like, oh, okay, Hitler. Through key mineral security partnership with countries.
Critical
Basically,
minerals such
let's
as
mine your
cobalt,
shit.
chromium, and manganese are needed for high-tech manufacturing. Mr. Yoon's office said that partnering with Africa, which holds some 30% of the world's reserves
keep the
of such
Chinas
minerals,
and
is
keep
crucial for
the
South
Ruskies
Korea.
out.
This comes as countries move to diversify
it's all
their
about.
supplies from China, which mines and processes the bulk of the world's supply. The South Korean leader yesterday pledged to boost his country's development aid for Africa to $10 billion over the next 6 years. China has accused the U.S. of interfering in its internal affairs after top American diplomat Antony Blinken vowed never to forget the 1989 Tiananmen Square incident on its 35th anniversary. The Chinese Foreign Ministry says the remarks interfere with China's internal affairs and demanded the U.S. to stop provoking ideological confrontation under the pretext of human rights. The U.S. State Secretary Blinken on Tuesday issued a statement saying America stands in solidarity with those who continue the struggle for human rights and individual freedom. The U.S. Embassy in Hong Kong had lined its windows with electric candles to commemorate the anniversary of the Tiananmen incident.
What was it yesterday? We were talking about China removing candles for the internet and all that.
Where candlelight vigils used to take place to mark the anniversary. At least 5 officials were spotted, which includes those from Japan, France, Belgium, Germany, and the Netherlands. A representative from the European Union made an appearance as well. China's foreign ministry arm in Hong Kong has slammed the move, accusing the foreign diplomats of staging political drama under the pretext of human rights. And we've got a business news lined up for you with none other than Olivia Marzuki.
We hear China and Russia counting claims coming from the West and stuff. You're like,
that's so true.
I kind of believe what they're saying
the
here.
country's Cool Japan strategy. It is counting on creative industries such as anime and games to more than quadruple its market share globally. In dollar terms, that would be $129 billion by 2033. The Japanese government wants to tap the growth potential of its popular culture. Tokyo set a broader goal of raking in about $320 billion in annual revenue by 2033 through the exports of anything Cool Japan related, from fashion to cosmetics.
Anyway, let's have a wee shift about else. Let's see.
Were you surprised by that answer? Because my jaw dropped when I heard it.
Yeah. I was very surprised. I think it's a human reaction, isn't it? You'd move heaven and earth to look after your loved ones.
Did anybody clock Piers Morgan? What was he on? I think he was on ITV actually. The after the debate and stuff, and he's on there talking about he was jabbing him. He wasn't a hook. He didn't. He's like, what were you watching?
Reaction is to say you'll do whatever you
Piers
can.
Morgan is Piers fucking Morgan. People seem to like him nowadays because he was on fucking Pop TV.
But ideologically,
he interviewed Count Spunkula. Oh, Count Spunkula, man. Oh, it's so cool. He's on Top TV. Getting used and abused by a Rupert Murdoch gimp. Go and figure.
It all suggests quite an ideologically driven person who's perhaps more left-wing than perhaps. He's no Tony Blair, Keir Starmer. I don't think he'd want to be presented as that. This is a more left-wing leader than we've had.
Let Gloria come in on that, Robert. I think it's a really interesting point.
Shit, I missed.
Keir Starmer believes so much in
it's only
looking after your family.
The state is an interesting use of the word because I bet anybody who's watching at home, or I could go out there on the street right now and ask anybody, do you believe in our National Health Service? Do you think it's working right now? Do you think after 14 years of the Tories, do you get angry and upset that
the home of Christianity in Scotland
are waiting for treatment? It didn't happen under the last Labour government. We had record appreciation levels.
Well, 40-year-old Australian.
20% now. So I believe in the power of governments to be able to make our National Health Service better. And my goodness, let's crack on and get on with that and do it.
Let's ask both of you, do these TV debates make a jot of difference in your view, Gloria? You've knocked on doors after
it really
TV
depends.
Debates.
I think it depends what you're doing with your whiskey, right? Like if you're going near it with anything, why waste it? Why waste your money on a nice whiskey unless you're just wrapping it down with a wee tad of water? My dad used to drink his whiskey with fucking iron brew. No single malt. I can drink a single malt, but I can't drink a single. I can't get drunk on a single malt, man. Fucking one's enough. And I suppose single malts are all very, very, very. In fact, funnily enough, I was speaking. That wasn't yesterday. It was Monday. I was speaking to a boy in the booth, and he was right into his fucking whiskies, man. And he was sitting talking to me about them getting aged in sherry casks, and then if it gets aged in a sherry cask for a wee bit, it depends what kind of sherry it was and all that as well. And he was going across the road to this boozer called the Ben Nevis, and that's got hunters and hunters of. What was it he was talking about? Oh, there was a place in the boot. There was a gaff in the city centre. Oh, I can't even remember the figure he put on it, right? But you go into this place and I don't know if you know what a gantry is. It's the bit up the back of the boozer where they have all the brewers. And it was either saying hundreds or thousands. I think it might have been thousands, to be honest, right? I can't remember the figure. But it's got the biggest variety of whiskies available in Scotland. I can't even remember the name of the boozer he told me about in the city centre. Hold on.
Bold, visionary, which can capture imagination and change the course of this campaign. This is not over.
Okay, Robert Buckland, Gloria Di Piero, thank you both so much. It is not over, that is true.
We'll get you back after the next debate.
Oh, exciting.
Starmer, if he had any sense, wouldn't even bother to do it.
The pot still.
But he's doing two.
If he's got 20 points in the pot,
over 1,000 whiskies.
Is committed, and I'll be here to debrief with you.
Brilliant. Right, still to come. Remember,
the still over. I couldn't remember the number, man.
We were live on air, and one of them even hit a double-decker bus. It was one of them is bright white with red blood down their front. If you're listening on the radio,
cast,
very memorable.
lines, proper
pies.
I mean, fucking they're shite, but they're good. No, not the producers.
Are the newspapers getting you down?
My wife didn't divorce me that month.
Struggling to separate the wheat from the chaff?
I know that it's a bit of a circus at the best of times.
Well, don't worry. Headliners has got you covered. We'll take the burden of reading the day's news, and if we get depressed, who cares? It's an occupational hazard, frankly. That's Headliners on GB News.
He told me where it was and I couldn't remember, man. See if I can get any
5 till
pictures of
6
it.
a.m. on GB News, the comedy channel. Nah, just kidding. Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
D-Day was shrouded in secrecy. Ken Hay was days away from landing in Normandy and still didn't know what was happening.
I don't think we really appreciated what we were going into. Actually, on D-Day, I was on a 30-mile route, and we see the planes going over and that sort of thing. And we realised that wherever they were going,
that's north to south. Right. Aye, that's definitely south because it's going downhill.
He arrived on Juno Beach at Coursieux-sur-Mer a few days after the main assault. The soldiers' role was to push forward into enemy territory.
I didn't land on D-Day. I landed shortly after in June. I was in the infantry, so I was a rifle and I was up the front.
While on night patrol on July 7th, his unit was attacked.
My brother was a corporal in the same platoon, and he was out with me. He got back. 16 of them.
I always wonders why sometimes you can't get it on a map.
5 of us got captured,
getting it on a map,
and 9 got killed.
Germans put him to work in a POW camp in Zabas, Poland. With Soviets advancing, the prisoners were forced to march for 1,000 miles.
Remember, you used to get a thing called Google Earth, right? And you could download it onto your computer, and you would have this wee database. And then he started directing you onto the web-based stuff. That's because the Google Earth doesn't have fucking all your feedback shit. They don't get all your information to know who you were, where you were. I was right north to south.
For the role he played in Normandy, and thanks God for keeping him alive.
People say, why did you volunteer for the service?
Hope Street,
it
that's
was a
the one.
completely different atmosphere then. You did your bit.
There's Blytheswood Square, there's George Square. So it's
I'm Patrick Christie's. Every weeknight from 9, I bring you 2 hours of unmissable, explosive debate and headline-grabbing interviews. What impact does that have?
We got death threats and the bomb threat and so on.
Our job is to do what's in the best interest of our country.
You made my argument for me. My guests and I tackle the issues that really
so nothing fancy or schmancy, but you can get over 1,000 different types of whiskey there.
That was a beginning, not an end.
Patrick Christie's tonight from 9
Bit of a tangent, but there you go.
GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's 11:22 with Britain's News from GB News. Andrew Pearson, Bev Turner. The panel is back. Mike Parry and Stephen Pound. Bev has spotted an extraordinary story in Louisiana.
Yeah, go on, Mike. Tell us about. This is about.
Anyway, I'm going to stop that. It makes me want to fucking go for a fucking drink.
To be honest, it makes me feel a bit ill, this. I mean, you know, it's the deep south. And it's
where did I know this Mike Parry prick
against criminals, and we've all seen the films about how people are treated down there. But basically, Louisiana judges could order surgical castration, right, for people convicted
they're going to get support of this.
Against younger children under the age of 13. Right. Now, I've got 2 views on this. One,
going to get support,
as a disincentive to commit appalling crimes like that, I think it's quite a good idea because all men fear.
But in practice, if they get one wrong, you've cut a fucking guy's cock and balls off.
It just means you stop the process. Actually removing them, castration, that's every man's ultimate nightmare and horror. So if it turned out to be a great deterrent, I'd be for it, but would I actually do it myself? And that's always the test for me of whether you support, you know, an extreme crime like hanging or something like that. And I don't think I could be in the same room as seeing a man having his testicles removed.
Here's an odd thing. I think I mentioned before, there used to be a Tory MP called Gerald Howarth, and he and I worked in Dartmoor Prison as prison officers. Gerald
DJC, the best thing to do in Glasgow, mate, it's instead of doing a pub crawl, right? You can do what's called a sub crawl, and it's very self-explanatory. Glasgow subway's just one big circle. So you just basically do you can't fucking. You're doing well if you finish the full circle. I don't know how many stops there are, but
it's not about sex, it's about
a sub crawl. Get half at each station. Choose a boozer, go for a drink. Next one, so on and so forth. Get an all-day ticket on the subway. And yet kept on the move and all that's quite
Can we talk
interesting.
about something else on a sunny Wednesday?
Pop crawl, man. In Glasgow, you would fucking move. You'd probably get about what, 200 yards, and you'd be like, going down in the street, man. There's a boozer every fucking 5 feet in Glasgow city centre, man.
He was chemically castrated, and the state nothing to protect.
On the right streets. on the streets I walked in.
And then he took his own life.
And retrospectively, have never returned to the issue because of the shame of not doing anything. Yeah, I agree.
They have a thing called aversion therapy. And I remember Bogart talking about this, where gay men would be shown photographs of naked men and then electrocuted while they're watching it to give aversion.
Oh, fucking hell, brilliant.
But isn't this a step backwards, this surgical castration? It does feel
Maybe
like...
we'll just lock them up.
It is medieval.
Even
like...
it's like
right, let's see fucking Talk TV. What they... Oh, where's Talk TV? I disappeared them. No, I think it's because I was... No, I think I might have disappeared. No, they're there. I knew I hadn't disappeared them. I don't think they've fixed... Oh, it's this horrible... angry school headmistress. Glasgow city centre's got lots of good hot spots.
Very good morning to you.
Thanks for joining us. The home of big opinions.
Oh, don't start me on that.
Straight talking.
There's a sort of feeling they ought to look as if they're doing something.
And no nonsense.
What is chemical castration anyway, though? Chop your cock and balls off, didn't they know? They chemically somehow, I think it clues in the name.
Listen to talk on radio via DAB.
On radio? No, you can't listen to it on the radio. DAB radio is not radio, mate. Trying to make themselves sound like something that still somebody gives a shit about them. YouTube, your app and mobile are all the same thing. Internet and DAB.
Love you and everyone. Can you please send in like? I know I've asked you over the years to send in really quite abusive messages to Benedict Spence about his moustache. He hasn't got his moustache on. Please send in some nice message. I want a nice call.
No, I want more adversaries. That's what I want. I want to fight with somebody now. Get Stephen back.
Anyway, exactly. Right, well, don't send your milkshakes. Yeah, because that's not funny. It's still called assault. But anyway, 11:26 is the time. Let's talk about one of the big issues in the debate last night on ITV. This debate hosted by Julie Etchingham, two leaders going head to head, and this was this claim from
Doberman. I love the countryside, but I also love architecture and all the buildings and historic cities and stuff, you know.
The Labour Party get in. Let's talk to Justin Urquhart Stewart. He's an economist. He's also chairman of the Regional Investment Platform. Good morning to you, Justin.
Good morning.
Thank you so much.
I'm very good to see Benedict there without a moustache.
That was sort of nice, but
I should have seen that coming.
We're all with you. So he's got his braces on. He's got not a leg to stand on. Right, look, let's talk about this. I want to know. We've had everyone fact checking this, and
look at this guy's uniform.
Is it true?
You see it all over the TV and stuff. City boys.
In taxes if Labour get in. Labour say that is not the case.
Well, the problem is, in order to do some fact checking,
financial city boys, bankers.
Through that entire event. There was nothing to say what's going up, down, sideways, what new errors are coming in. It was bland and, well, okay, shouting over each other.
Bland
I don't want to go over the debate. I want to talk about this particular claim.
This particular claim on that, there's no way you can actually substantiate any of that on the facts, on the information given last night.
Yeah.
Far too bland. So, like a lot of these things, I'm afraid you have to be regarded them with a level of cynicism because they don't want to actually give away all their big facts straight away.
And we haven't had the manifestos yet. Well, what's really interesting, the claim from Rishi Sunak was basically that Labour wants to increase tax by £2,000. Starmer said that was absolute garbage. And again, everyone's been fact-checking it, but crucially, one of the key things is basically £2,000 higher tax for every working family. This is your tax on your work, your car, your pension. He kept repeating that figure. They say, the Conservatives, they came up with that number based on how much they say Labour spending commitments would cost, dividing this by the number of UK households with at least one person working, therefore paying tax.
Completely distracting you with shite.
An average, again, is very different from, how much that tax would be covered by. by people who are higher earners. But he suggested, the Prime Minister, the costings have been worked out by impartial civil servants based on assumptions made by special advisors and political appointees. Crucial development today.
44
in a
troops
letter
from more
written
than
by
a dozen
the Treasury's
nations
permanent secretary,
coming
a man
from
called
across
James Bowler. He has
That's
written a
D-Day
letter,
stuff,
well, no,
innit? It's got to be D-Day stuff.
on the 3rd of June, by
Assuming
the way.
Sky News will be all over that as well.
He warned ministers that Tory claims about Labour's
No, the
tax
D-Day,
plans
aye.
should not be presented as having been in the production or presentation of the Conservative Party's document Labour's tax rises or in the calculation of the total figure used. That rather undermines the claim, doesn't it?
It does indeed, because actually what now...
I didn't do press TV today because it's just going to be endless dead bodies.
What it is going to cost,
I'm assuming.
and come back with some proper facts on it, and actually sit there and say,
I've had my fill of dead bodies for today.
From the civil service, they told you not
no
to.
listen to the fucking Europeans.
Solid items I can come back with.
Rupert Murdoch Dangleberries. I'm a journalist. I work for Murdoch. I really wonder why he gave you a job.
Next major city, Sfax. Many
A
see
wee bit of the
Sfax
crowd
as the
first.
gateway to Europe.
We are the nation, we are part of the...
There's a wee good song there as well. Alex Jones.
This is DW News live from Berlin. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi faces a tougher than expected third term. His party failed to secure an outright majority for the first time since sweeping to power a decade ago. He now needs the help of allies. We'll take a look at the fallout from the election. Also coming up on the programme, Joe Biden gets tough on migrants at the US-Mexico border. The president announces new asylum restrictions.
That is so
he says
bad
are
electioneering,
necessary,
isn't it?
but critics, including some from his own Democratic Party, say that they are too strict. And the rain has stopped, but large areas of southern Germany remain underwater, as police confirm at least 5 deaths in the country's latest flooding disaster. I'm Manu McGinn. Welcome to the programme.
How you doing, man?
We begin in India,
Unicorn.
where Narendra Modi appears set to become Prime Minister for a rare third term. Now, that's despite election results that saw
It's
his
like
party,
people
the
pissing at the
BJP,
wall there.
lose its majority in Parliament. Now, this is the
Right.
first time that Modi has failed to secure a majority
No, hold
for his
on.
party.
Reduced
in any
majority.
election.
He has
now
got a
has to
majority.
depend on
Right,
his
hold on. She's telling you one thing, and the tagline underneath is saying another thing. Right, he's still got a majority, because it's just his majority is reduced. He had that big a majority. He's still got a majority, which is that, so he's got over 50% of the seats. That's how I understand it. In fact, no, is he just the biggest party? No, because if you're the biggest party, you need to get over 50% of the seats to be the governing. Like, now they've got me interested, fucks.
Coalition partners,
Only took about
National
4 times round.
Democratic Alliance, or the NDA, to form the next government.
Look, try and get my
The
head
election
around all these
outcome
summer
also
shite.
delivered a surprise comeback by the opposition India Alliance, led by the Congress Party. DW correspondent Shalu Yadav is in Delhi. She told us more about Modi's weakened position after this election.
Well, it certainly makes him look a little more weaker than he has been, weaker than I think for the first time, in the last 10 years since he's been the Prime Minister, because in the last 2
DJ, I
terms,
had
his
my
party
first
has
Cuban a
managed
few
to
weeks ago,
come
man.
to power with a
It wasn't my
resounding
own.
majority. They've
The
managed
fucking
to
somebody
get the
else's.
numbers on their own.
We just started
But now
talking.
they're at the
So
mercy
apparently,
of coalition
fucking Joe
partners to be able
Rogan's
to
done a
form
good job of
government.
bringing
So
cigars
that
back,
certainly,
man.
makes
And a
him
grand
look
you.
weak. And
No wonder
the
he
first
gets
part
hundreds of
his style
freebies for all
ruling,
those fucking cigar
have been
companies,
this,
man.
authoritative,
It's not that common to see the
sort of
youngsters bouncing about with a
unilateral
big
style
cigar
of
now.
making really bold decisions, over the last 10 years. But that will have
I'm
to change
tempted to
now.
date myself.
Just mind you, coalition governments
If I
are
had
not
the money,
new in India.
I'll
We've
be more
seen coalition
Hamlet.
governments in the past.
Magic.
The biggest casualty of coalition
Winston, you're big, but you want the big
governance,
Cuban fox,
because
don't
it
you?
becomes that much extra harder to take all
Say
the
hello
coalition
to my
partners
little
on board for
friend.
making policy decisions and making sort of tough laws.
Nationalists
So we'll have
fall
to see.
short
It'll be
of
very
a
interesting to
majority.
see what the third term for Mr. Modi is like when he'll have to be a bit more.
You can tell that's getting written no by an English speaker.
DW Shalu Yadav reporting there.
We're getting
Now,
a
the results
message
of
and
the
all that
election have largely been welcomed by India's neighbours, such as Bangladesh on India's eastern border, but that's not the case with Pakistan.
Muslims.
Officials in Islamabad
Nope.
and Indian Prime Minister Modi have a fractious relationship, and how that develops will be closely watched during Modi's third term.
Since their creation in 1947, Pakistan and India have fought 4 wars and had frequent border skirmishes.
Yeah, good
Just
shit,
a few
man.
weeks before the Indian elections, the Indian Defence
British
Minister
left it in a
underlined
perfect
India's
place.
stance on Pakistan.
If any terrorist from the neighboring country tries to hurt India, we will give a befitting response. If he runs away back to Pakistan, then we will kill him by entering into Pakistan.
Oh, there's a good question. Would Tommy Robinson fight for India? I think he said he would fight for Israel, hasn't he? I'm going to check that because that would be funny. That's a fucking TikTok video.
Came after Britain's The Guardian published a report stating that since 2020, India allegedly killed 20 terrorists on Pakistani soil. India has long accused Pakistan of sponsoring terrorism and fueling an insurgency in Indian-held Kashmir. Things got particularly heated when a suicide attack in Indian-administered Kashmir in 2019 killed 40 Indian policemen in the run-up to national
I'm
elections
going to
in
assume
India.
that says Israel.
Narendra Modi's government blamed the attack on
Yes!
Pakistan. India responded
Taking the
by
top
air
video,
strikes.
here I fucking come!
This brought the two
Mate.
countries to the brink of
Yo,
war.
where the fuck was this fucking...
Terrorism is a key element that
Shit, I'm
motivates or sort of creates tensions between India and
fuck was I
Pakistan.
watching that?
And it's not just
Fucking
the BJP
playing in
that
my
has a
ear.
position
Oh, there we
on
go.
this. Even the Congress party also talks
Tommy, will you die?
Pakistan. So I think there's
Will you die? Will you go to war?
agreement across the political
For
spectrum.
India, my man? You and the Sikhs are like that, my friend. They're your token browns you pull out the bag every time because they hate Muslims as much as you.
Renewed relationship.
Pakistan denies the Indian
It's just a
charges.
thought.
Instead, it accused
We can
India
fucking throw him into
of
Kashmir and get
undermining
rid of him
the
for a bit.
Kashmiris when it revoked an article in the
We'll
Indian constitution.
ease the congestion in London for the Londoners.
significant
I'm only thinking what's good for the country.
This decision led to a nosedive in relations.
India illegally annexed Jammu and Kashmir, which is occupied territory, and recognized
Bring back
an
the
international
pipe.
dispute and remains on the
I think
agenda
though,
of the UN
I'm not
Security
too
Council.
sure.
The Modi government had previously
Doberman, I think the
several
pipe, I would
times
love it because it
that,
looks cool as fuck.
Jammu and
Can
Kashmir
you
is
imagine
now
bringing
off
in
the
a big
negotiating table,
Sherlock
that they will
Holmes
not
thing,
talk
sitting
to
in a beer
Pakistan
garden with your pipe, man, every
about
country would be
Kashmir.
well
That
well
makes
impressed.
it very difficult
Um,
for any government in Pakistan
But
to resume
I'm
any
thinking
kind
it's
of
tobacco
normal
in it.
relationship,
At least the
with India.
cigar's just like,
One neighbor,
worst thing that's
with
going to
which
happen is
India's
get mouth
relations have
cancer and you can't speak
significantly
it anymore.
improved under Modi's
Your
rule,
lungs will be
is
alright.
Bangladesh. Modi sees Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina as a reliable partner in controlling the threat of
Yeah.
terrorism, especially
And
in
smoking
India's
jackets.
northeastern states. Investing in Bangladesh
A smoking jacket?
also
I've
helps
got a
India's
dressing gown,
geostrategic
that's kind of
goals
like a
in the
smoking
region.
jacket, I suppose.
If it warms to China, could be a significant challenge to India's
Go
influence in
being
the
a
Bay of Bengal. It's sort of
big
freedom of
cigar.
movement and navigation.
Thanks, I'm a
And
gentleman.
so, certainly having
I don't think
relationship with
DJ's
the
talking about the
government
crack
is a
pipe
critical
or a
part
weed
of
pipe. I think he's
maybe
talking about your
denying,
old-fashioned
a
tobacco
strong Chinese
pipes.
foothold in Bangladesh.
As Prime Minister Modi is set to begin his third term in office, it seems likely India will continue to carefully place
know,
cards and assert
That's why I
its
like this
position
thing.
in the region.
Kinda can get away with it in public.
That report by
That and I'm completely
Gathered,
nose blind and
who joins
everybody
me
can
now
just
to talk
smell
more
that
about the
reek
regional
of weed, which
impact
thinks
of the election,
the
especially with India's
possibility.
neighbour
But I
Pakistan.
take
Good
out
to
a
see you, Beanish. So what's the reaction in
I
Pakistan?
think I just smell
to,
like a puff's
the Indian
handbag,
election,
actually, man.
results?
Because
Arya, officials in Pakistan
just
are watching
rattle
the
myself with
development in
fucking
India
every time I
very
have one of these.
cautiously and
I spray
carefully.
myself.
As the report mentions, since 2019, the relations
I was
between
outside
two
yesterday and I
countries
just
are
drifted
at
away
their
to smoke
lowest
one of these
in
away for
decades.
everybody so they couldn't
India
smell it.
blames
And then a
Pakistan
guy for the night before who
emanates
was
of
with
the
this poor
threat of
drunken woman that he
Basically,
was
India blames Pakistan
hilarious.
that the threat of terrorism
He
emanates
told me
from
the story.
Pakistan, for
It
Pakistan,
was,
the annexation of Indian
wasn't it
held
last? It was
Kashmir
Monday night.
was
I sat outside and there was
an
like a
issue
guy
that
and a
it was
woman, older
unacceptable
couple,
to Pakistan.
woman
And
stuck
since then,
together
we
with
saw
blue
that the
tack, man.
relationship between the two
But you can
countries
see maybe.
plunged.
Anyway, long and short, she got really nasty, something like that in her head. You know, you get those people.
Trade suspended between the two countries, and as of now,
Angry
there is no
Glaswegian type,
sign
fucking not
of
good.
resumption
Knew
of
it
a
was happening.
structured dialogue
And
between
then
the two countries. Pakistani
he
officials
didn't get a
also
lumber,
say
let's
that,
say, he
Prime
popped
Minister
off, which I think
Modi
was
and
good.
his ministers
And then she
used
stumbled off,
provocative language
barely staying
aimed
on
at
her feet.
Pakistan during the election campaign.
So when he
in
came
this environment,
to
Pakistan,
the same boozer
officials
last
in
night,
Pakistan are
he's
not
caught
very
me for the night
thrilled at
before
the idea of
and
Narendra
asked me
Modi
what
coming
happened
to
to her
power,
because he just up
for the
sticks and
next 5
fucked off. You know, he just met her that night. Apparently
clear
she
to
got
say
really
that
drunk really
Pakistan's
quickly and just
relationship
turned
with
like
India
that. But at the
during
beginning of the
Modi's
night, it
10
was looking
years
like kind
in
of good.
office has not improved in any
Flat
way.
mate, you've had a lucky escape.
Going
Imagine you
forward,
took her
there's no
home and
sense right
then
now
that
that
happens,
there's
then you'd be
an effort
fucked.
to make things to mend relations in any way.
So, any long and short of it is I ended up, I had
always had troubled
I
relations.
peeked closer
There were
to the
very
fucking
few
boots up and I was
periods
kind of
where the
smoking the arse
tensions
end of
between
this.
the two
Must
countries
have been
were
stinking
low.
of weed.
But
But the
since
area I got,
2009,
what,
we
couldn't
see
give a
that the
fuck.
relationship nosedived.
There's nobody to give
Pakistan
a
and
fuck.
India had a structured dialogue for years, known as composite
Right,
dialogue.
India and Pakistan hate
Kashmir
each other.
and terrorism
Kashmir,
were on
still
the
killing each
agenda,
other there.
in that dialogue.
Because
And actually, I covered
Pakistan
one
was
such,
under British
brief period of
control,
peace.
East India
Indian Foreign
Corporation,
Minister
whatever you want to call
Krishna
it, was under
came
the
to
crown.
Pakistan with dozens of
Pakistan
Indian
and
journalists.
India
It was
never
major
used to be
news,
different
lots of
companies.
agreements
It
were
was
signed,
created by the
but
British
then from
when they pulled out. It was
2014, we
partitioned
saw
by the
that
British
things,
when they pulled out.
diplomatic relations.
There, that's so I
maintained
can
a
say it
kind of
fucking.
crippled border last couple of
And thus
so
it's separated
officials in
along kind of
Pakistan
religious
have
lines,
to address
and they
the
hate each other.
Happy
government would be very Prime Minister India's government. The
Really isn't rocket
India
science.
operating China and the region achieve that goal.
Venus Javed, thanks so much for that analysis. Now, Russia is prepared to strike French troops in Ukraine if they are sent there to help train Ukrainian soldiers. Moscow has said that. It comes after a top Ukrainian military commander said that he had signed paperwork allowing French military instructors to visit training centres there. The news coincides with the US President Joe Biden lifting restrictions on Kyiv using its weapons inside Russia. The Kremlin said it would go to war with NATO if US weapons are used. Okay, let's get more from our correspondent, Roman Goncharenko, who joins us now from Kharkiv in Ukraine. Roman, there's been heavy fighting there in Kharkiv in the last few weeks. Can you tell us, first of all, how things are looking there right now?
Well, in Kharkiv region, there are two hotspots. One is fairly close to Kharkiv on the Russian border. It's called Lipsy. As far as we understand, there is fighting there, but the situation seems to be stable. The second hotspot is in the town of Vovchansk, which is also close to the Russian border, further east. And there the freeze fighting continues. The Ukrainian forces reported that they were able to regain a few streets, but still Russians hold about a third of that town, Vovchansk. So the situation remains tense there. Here in the city of Kharkiv, which is the second largest city of Ukraine, it's been a little quieter in the last days, what we've heard from the locals. And some of them explain that with the fact that Ukraine now has an official green light from the United States, from other Western partners of Ukraine to hit Russian territory with Western weapons. And there were reports about some targets being hit close to the border, and this is of course something where Russia uses that territory close to the border to strike this city of Kharkiv.
All right,
So
Evan,
just
how
to
you
be
doing?
clear, has it been confirmed that Ukraine has used Western weapons to strike inside Russia? Is that clear?
Well, as we speak, Ukraine has
My
been
bone disguised as bagpipes.
has been keeping a very low profile on that. Just
Border hash for the win.
the same with Ukrainian weapons when Ukraine used its own weapons to strike Russia. So we now have only indirect confirmation through Western media, reported here by Ukrainian media, that at least one official said, yes, we did that, but the most Ukrainian officials are not commenting on that issue.
As we've reported, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has reiterated that if French soldiers were to be involved in Ukraine in training, that they would be a legitimate target for Russia. How seriously is that statement being taken in Kyiv?
Well, it is being taken seriously. It's not only
Unicorn.
Lavrov who says that,
That might be a
has been
joke.
saying that, so they keep repeating that threat. But in Ukraine here, they look at it in a different way.
Nowadays,
so
you just really
they
can't tell.
interpret it as an
I was on the
attempt
tall
to,
ship the other day and it's
to
fucking
stop the West
flying
from
the
helping
rainbow.
Ukraine from sending more
I'm kind of
weapons
gutted
or
that,
more
like,
powerful weapons, or sending indeed
a sexual
instructors to
preference has
Ukraine,
been
which would
able
be
to
a breach of an unofficial red
appropriate
line.
the rainbow.
So Ukraine is worried that maybe that threat
I love
by
the kids' TV
could
show.
lead to the fact that
Oh,
maybe
makes
France
sense.
will think again and will not be as eager as some here expect and hope that France will send those instructors to Ukraine, maybe followed by some other countries, for example, the Baltic states.
Now, the US President Joe Biden and Volodymyr Zelensky will be meeting in Normandy in France this week at the D-Day commemorations. What are they likely to discuss, Roman, do you think, when they see each other there?
D-Day's always quite big in the news cycle,
Well,
isn't
there
it?
is a lot to discuss.
I was just
Indeed,
wondering whether we're
President
going to extra
Biden,
sex it
President
up
Zelensky.
because we're
First
in a
and
wartime
foremost,
footing.
there is this peace summit in Switzerland, which is about to take place in about a week and a half, and it's been a huge debate.
So just an update in the poll. Would you hit Farage with the milkshake given half a chance? 35% yes. 45%, 48% says no, and 17% says it's a bricking option. I'm in the camp. Well, I don't know. For fits and giggles, I'd say a brick. But in reality, I would say no, I wouldn't do something like that. To anybody, I would rather ask them what colour Tinkerbell's here.
Urgently. Then they will also meet at the G7 summit in Italy. So they will be also discussing, I think, issues there, economic issues, but first and foremost, of course, the flow of weapons, the bilateral security agreement that is supposed to be signed between Zelensky and President Biden, and last but not least, the coming summit of NATO in Washington in July. This is where Ukraine is expecting some more moves and more intense cooperation between NATO and Ukraine.
Roman, thanks so much for that.
Money.
That's Roman Goncharenko reporting from Kharkiv.
Oh, fuck. Man, I nearly got 8 hours
Quick
last
look
night
now
as
at
well.
some of
and
the
I'm
other
still
stories
feeling
making
fucking
headlines
knackered.
around the world today. And a local politician for the far-right Alternative for Germany party has been stabbed in the German city of Mannheim. The AfD says he only suffered cuts, but he is still being kept in hospital. Now, this is the second attack
That's the
in the
BNP,
city
innit?
in a week. A police
Oh,
officer
it is as
died
well.
after he was stabbed at an
Fuck's sake,
anti-Islam
did that
rally
copper
on
die?
Friday.
There's some
Slovenia's
news.
government has voted to recognize
Oh, aye,
the
something that's
Palestinian
actually
state,
fucking
despite an
interesting. They get 30 fucking
opposition
seconds.
bid to derail the bill. The country's centre-left government.
So the
said it was
jihadis
part
going
of an
after
effort
all
to
the
end
fucking
fighting
Tommy
in Gaza.
Robinson mob in
Follows
fucking
3 other
Germany?
European countries who officially recognised the territory last week. Amanda Knox is back in an Italian courtroom in an attempt to overturn a
she
conviction
again?
of slander. The American was wrongly accused a Congolese bar owner of killing Meredith Kircher in 2007, but she says she named him under duress. Knox herself was found guilty of the brutal murder of the 21-year-old British student, but she was acquitted in 2015. Now, the US President Joe Biden has issued an executive order to restrict irregular migrants claiming asylum at the US-Mexico border. The measure takes effect when irregular crossings average at least 2,500 a day. It enables police to arrest people crossing the border without authorization, and it gives state judges the ability to return people to their home countries.
Woohoo! Freedom,
Trying
baby!
to make it into the United States. before the executive order takes effect. The US government says these are just some of the 3,500 people who illegally cross the US-Mexico border every day. This action is aimed at bringing that number down. According to the measure, when the 7-day average for daily crossings exceeds 2,500, asylum claims won't be accepted. Those attempting to cross illegally will be deported.
The only thing I ask is that they give us a chance, because we have families, we have children to provide for. We're not coming here for fun. If we had all we needed, we wouldn't be here.
Honestly, completely fucking really fucked up.
The only option is to cross, because we don't have the means
They must be wanting to get you onto an app. That's all I can think.
Just as it was hard to cross all of Mexico, it would be equally hard to return.
Irregular migration is a major concern for the American voters. Months before the presidential election, Joe Biden wants to address the issue, and he's hoping to sway more voters with it.
This action will help us gain control of our border, restore order into the process. This ban will remain in place until the number of people trying to enter illegally is reduced to a level that our system can effectively manage. We'll carry out this order consistent with all our responsibilities under international law, every one of them.
However, it's unclear how this order will look in practice.
The measure itself is very significant potentially, but there are a lot of questions about how it will be enforced and whether the U.S. has enough money and enough legal support. It's almost certainly going to be challenged in court. The U.S. needs tremendous resources to be able to deport people on flights where people, from China, Kazakhstan, India, Cuba, all over the world are appearing at the border. It's very expensive and also requires a lot of diplomatic finesse to get these flights.
And it's unlikely that the threat of deportation will deter people who have traveled thousands of kilometers from trying to reach a better life in the US.
Now, authorities in southern Germany are battling the aftermath of severe flooding in the region. At least 5 people died after several rivers burst their banks following days of heavy rain. Among them was a firefighter who was killed during a rescue operation. In the Bavarian city of Regensburg, the water level in the Danube River is still at 6 meters. That is double what it normally is. Parts of the River Rhine, which is a major shipping route, remain closed to cargo ships. The situation does now appear to be easing, with water levels slowly receding in some areas and no more heavy rain forecast. But several people are still missing and feared dead. Police say they rescued a woman who had spent 52 hours in a tree to escape the flooding. She's now recovering in hospital. And for more, I'm joined now by our reporter Matthew Moore, who is in the southern German city of Regensburg. Matthew, tell us how things are looking there where you are.
Right, let's hear a wee bit of the frogs for the top of the hour. I'm trying to multitask. Come on, man. Mbappe. Oh shit, that doesn't work properly. Right, how do I need to do this? Well, 53. There we go. Top of the hour. Top of the morning to you. Brings you in gently.
Commemorations here on Paris Direct. I'm Delon de Souza. Headlines this hour. Commemorations kick off in the British city of Portsmouth as part of events to mark the 80th anniversary of D-Day. US President Joe Biden, meanwhile, in France to underscore America's commitment to its allies. We'll be crossing live to Benedict Pabio standing by in Portsmouth with the latest.
Well,
pressure mounts on Israel and Hamas.
Sorry, fuck you, Shug. Thank you, Shugs more. I only just read
Allies
my
of the
WhatsApp there,
BJP
buddy.
pledged their support in forming the government in
So,
India. The
thank you
opposition
very
meanwhile
much,
has
man.
yet to concede defeat after election results left Narendra Modi significantly weaker.
Try to read them. Anyway. What else was I trying to do there, wasn't it?
D-Day commemorations have kicked off in the port city of Portsmouth. It was the main departure point for 5,000 ships which headed to the beaches of Normandy in 1944. On Tuesday, around 24 British D-Day veterans set sail for northern France as the world remembers their contributions along with other allies to liberate this country from Nazi Germany. We can now go across to France 24's Benedict.
That's right, you surrender monkeys, you better not forget it.
Smith, for us, Benedict, talk us through what's on the programme today.
Well, what's on the programme is really
what?
And remembering the sacrifice
Oh, well, it's
of
D-Day. Oh, shit.
tens
Wouldn't
of
take the
thousands
piss.
of troops. 156,000 that
British.
went over to those 5 Normandy beaches.
Mostly us.
And we've got fantastic weather here today. The D-Day landings, or the Normandy landings as they're called, were glory, but in general, in many
Where were the Normandy landings? Just out of curiosity. I'm going to Google that.
Attachment to effort, overlord, more money. This being a reflection on the forehead, significant. I mean,
Fair dues, man. It was a big event and stuff.
Cyndi Lauper, known for hits like Now.
40% of the country's wealth
is continuously increasing, but the employment has decreased.
Trying not break.
Narendra Modi pledged.
Alright, it was Indian push. Then he went on to Cyndi Lauper.
Quality lab, the gap between
Missed that.
Singer
Cyndi
Cyndi
Lauper,
Lauper, known for hits like Girls Just Wanna Have Fun, Time After Time, and True Colors, has cemented her place over in
suppose she's still a
Hollywood.
bit alright for about 90-year-old.
Joined by fellow music icon Cher at the ceremony in LA on Tuesday.
I feel like I can't kind of believe it. I mean, when I was a
Your
little
face
kid,
doesn't tell that story, Hen. No offence. It's not really moving
I
much.
remember
But
doing laundry in the basement and singing, "You better
I find that
sit
kind of
down,
accent dead sexy, man.
You know, and I was
Don't know
like,
why. What's this?
here I
New
am.
York, you
My
know,
life
New
took
York.
such a surreal turn. See, so you can't count yourself out before you start to live.
Ryan skip. Touche.
Time now to get a check on
Touche.
our number of the day with our business editor,
I hope that was a joke, hashtag, because I was trying to be funny by asking where the Normandy landings were. I don't know if it's lost in translation or some shit.
shortfall in the United Kingdom's
No,
public
hashtag, I
finances
knew
for
exactly where it was. I was just saying, why did they...
government, unless drastic
bad joke,
action
maybe.
is taken, at least according to a think tank called the Resolution Foundation. The report obviously comes on the back of that first
Where the
debate
Temples
between Prime
came
Minister
from.
Rishi Sunak and opposition Labour
Yeah,
leader
it came
Keir
from all over
Starmer
at one point,
ahead
man,
of
but
the
I think they
general
set up
elections
shop
July,
in France,
where
wasn't it? That
both
was their
men
original...
criticised the other's plans with regards to the country's
was it 9 or 12?
finances. The
I think it was
Resolution
9.
Foundation
Original
calling those
9
debates
nights.
detached from reality. I'll be back at 1:15 p.m. Paris time for more on this story
Temple
and
stuff
others
in my
as well.
village.
Thank you very
lads.
much for that, Charles.
Cornerstone with a
there.
goblet.
And those were the top stories we're covering for you here on France.
And a knife. Also a grave. You said you were for the East Coast, mate, near Edinburgh. So, what happened, mate? See when the Templars came back for the Crusades, First Crusade, I think it was the First Crusade. England and Scotland were separate, and the Templars were held as heroes, returning heroes. So it was King David up here at the time, and King David granted the Templars lands. Some of the lands were right next to me. Knightswood, right up the road from Knightswood, is a temple. Down your neck of the wood, just south, you've got Roslin, and Roslin Chapel's one of the most famous ones there, held. They're still in the ownership of the Sinclair family. Sinclair family. They were Robert the Bruce's best pals. and Robert the Bruce and all that were in tow with the Templars, allegedly. And just up the road from Roslin, you'll get a lovely wee place called Temple, just like up here called Temple. So you've got the two, and that's the areas of land that King David gave to the Templars on returning. He gave Knightswood to over here on the west, and over in the east, it gave them Roslin and stuff. And if you think it from a, I want to say geopolitically, that's not the word I'm looking for. If you think it from a strategic point of view, the Templars now had footholds in both east and west of Scotland, where right at the narrowest point for their ships. You know, between Roslin, like you've got the Forth and you've got the Clyde. And that's the narrowest place in the whole of the UK. If you want to travel from the east of the UK, like on a ship, or if you want to travel from the east of the UK to the west, quickest place to do it, Edinburgh to Glasgow, the shortest point. That's why you get the Forth and Clyde Canal, because they've done it by the shortest point. So the Templars were given lands right there next to me. I stay in Scotstoun Hill, which used to be old farmland. That's right up in a wee hill. This never used to be part of Glasgow. Glasgow swallowed that all up during the Victorian expansion and all that. But that's why there's Temple up there. The Knights Templars' old temple, because they didn't have churches, they had temples. And right next to Roslin Chapel, just up the road for it, you'll find a place in Edinburgh called Temple as well. So the stories in the land, the names of the land tell the story. But there's a wee bit of Templar bullcrap, please.
Hi, welcome back. The usual for you?
Oh yeah.
What's the usual?
East Calder.
I don't know.
Hold on, mate.
Elisa, this is Franco's
I've
8th
heard it,
film.
but I'm going to stick it on a map, just so in my head. Is that south of Edinburgh then, bud? So I know exactly where the area of the world. Oh shit! I can get this crappy map again. He's called it. Aye, mate, that's roughly around that neck of the wood, just south of Edinburgh. I know you're not anywhere near Roslin. Roslin's a wee bit more southeast for you, I do believe. But it's in the general vicinity, mate. You know, it would not surprise me at one iota, because Edinburgh City is an old medieval city as it was back in the time. I hadn't encompassed as much as that area there. Hadn't swallowed up the surrounding areas. So King David was like, here you have that wee bit of area just outside Edinburgh, and granted them lands over here in Scotland, just outside the medieval city of Glasgow, which pretty much none of it exists anymore apart from the cathedral and stuff. And as I said, they didn't go to the cathedrals, they went to temples. They set up their own wee temples, and that's why you've got that area of land called Temple, no? Every day's motherfucking school day.
He seems pretty drawn to characters whose behavior at first, really comes off as rude or
Templars fought for Bruce, spot on, man. Well, that's my belief anyway. That's the way I see it.
Sylvia is celebrated for having been so.
That's how. That's where Robert the Bruce got all these military knowledge from. The Warring Templars. They were the best warriors in the fucking around. They had the most experience, most knowledge.
A sinister man follows her home from a gathering of former attendees of the same high school.
Aye, exactly, Gigi. But as I was saying, Scotland and England were different kingdoms at the time, so they were granted lands. They were granted lands all over Europe on return from the Crusades, by the kings, because it was medieval at that time. There was hundreds of kingdoms bounced about.
12 years old. He doesn't recall
and the city of the
defective memories.
Oh man, I used to know the city of London inside out. But the Knights Templars, Scotland is the only country in the whole of the world that the Knights Templars land was not confiscated for them after the French and the Pope extradited them.
It does sound like a quality
and they
film,
came to Scotland because Robert the Bruce was in, and he stabbed the Pope's man in the back
that was shown in Venice
up at Dunfermline Abbey, I think. That'll probably got that
tell.
wrong.
Now, Polanski
But
fled the US
Robert the
in
Bruce stabbed a cunt
1977
in
after
back
he pled guilty to
with a
raping a
dagger
13-year-old.
in an abbey
He's more
church
recently been
to get
accused
the
of
to
multiple other
claim
cases of sexual
the
assault dating
Kingdom
to
of
around
Scotland.
that same time. Now, Lisa, this film was evaluated as worthless by the International Press Corps.
Yeah.
There was a small French distributor that
I
picked it up
love all
so
that
viewers
stuff.
could decide for themselves, but then French critics also eviscerated it. It's only visible at one cinema here in Paris. That's the tiny Studio Galland, which is near Notre Dame, and that's where you went to see it.
It is. I hope I don't get hit by a bolt of lightning.
Oh, mate, I'm going to, when I
not
get a wee bit more room and all that, man, I'm going to do that again, but not
as
online.
bad as it's been made out to be. I'm
You're
told there
open for
was
the windy
stunned,
liquors, man, because
stoic
see everybody I
silence
tell
when
that
his
to,
press
man, they're like signing me up. I'm not even
journalists
joking.
rushed out to top
I'm
each
not
other
even
with nasty
joking.
reactions.
So much
I
shit
expected
about,
to be
man.
irritated, maybe even bored. I couldn't have been more surprised when the audience I saw it
Right,
with
that's
laughed,
12 bells.
and so
I'm going to
did
do
I.
the off.
It's a satirical comedy.
So, thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed that. So, there's pretty much going to be shite in the UK way of news for the next 2 weeks because it's just going to be fucking bullcrap election shite. And it's literally, there's repetition that propagates the message, aka propaganda. Get inside your nut. You're going to be going, stop the chaos, build something, change something. Is that what you're going to be going about saying today? I know I am. I'm going to be... I'm going to go on my bike, I think. In fact, what's it? What am I saying to... Oh, the fuck, I am out. Yep, sun's out. Taps off, I'm on my bike. Damn right. So thanks everybody, stick a wee thumbs up, tell your friends, oh fuck yeah, I need to remember to do this. Finish the fucking poll. Keep forgetting to do that. That's a good way to sign out, if you get me. So tune in tomorrow as well. There'll be another update. Probably be quicker because let me predict what tomorrow's news is going to be. UK election pish, arguing over the crumbs about a debate that doesn't really matter. See, do you want to hear the real crazy fucking thing? Nobody's voting for those two dicks. Well, apart from their own constituents. No, cunt. People, our system, as fucked up as it is, are fucking meant to vote for who they think's best in their local constituency. Our democracy's a fucking joke. I heard somebody explain it last night, actually, on, I think it was on, what was it? Times Radio. Rupert Murdoch never deciphering all the shit for the election. And this guy came on and went, our parliament's about, oh, my throat's fucking up. And this guy nailed it. He said most parliaments, most democracies have a separation of the executive and the legislative branch. The legislative branch is meant to make the laws, and the executive branch is meant to execute the laws and make sure they're followed. There's a separation of power there. We don't have that in our system. We have the legislator and the executive all sitting in the same house, kidding on there's some sort of a debate, but ultimately the debate's already been taken part with on with the party system, which means the whips. That means the people, the people. It's people within the party who go around and make sure all the members vote the way that the leadership tells them to. So there's no democracy, there's no variety there at all. So the executive and legislature are all in the same thing, all under the control of the head of the parties. So you pretty much know what's going to happen before any of it happens. Nothing's really up for debate. That's a dog, and he admitted this. He said it's all theatre, it's political theatre. And this is a political commentator that relies on that institution for his money. But he was admitting it. Because he was pointing out, like last night, what the fuck was that? It was cult of personality competition. Had nothing to do with politics or what our system is meant to be. You're meant to vote for who you think is best at canvassed you in your area, not the dear leader, because we don't have a dear leader, motherfucker. That's how we've ended up with Liz Truss, fucking Shoe Shack. Who was the last prick that got elected in? Bobo. But again, he didn't get elected in. He was just top dong in that ship that fucking nominated as our ship. But it's morphed into that presidential system in America where you're voting for one man. And that ain't what it is. So it's all facade. Anyway, that is looking fucking too good. I bet she's windy as a motherfucker. Yesterday, man. Do you know what it is? It's a Baltic Arctic wind. Yep, I'm a weather person and I didn't hear it on the news. Anyway, let's finish the poll. I'm going to forget. So, the poll was 23 votes. Would you hit Farage with a milkshake given half a chance? 35% say yes, 48% say no, and 17% is a brick an option. I'm just going down the comedy route. Remember, that's as scientific as polls get. But I thought it would be worth the while anyway. So tune in tomorrow for more Daily Politics. As I predict, it'll be UK. On the UK press, it'll be our election ship. And then it'll be doing its best to, depending on what happens in Gaza, they'll just ignore that fucking Gaza shit. And then, what else? The weather. And we'll see if we get any nice dog picture, funny dog picture galleries and shit like that. And there'll be a bit of American stuff somehow flung in because they're in election season as well. India as well, I bet you that'll be kept in the crosshairs. So thanks everybody, hopefully catch you tomorrow. Have a nice afternoon, y'all. Catch yous. Where's my button? Clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.